ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you.
Turned out to be a pretty raw day in temperature. Started to rain about 15 minutes ago, so the turf will be slick at the outset of this one. The interstate rivalry between Iowa and Iowa State, with both teams coming in unbeaten thus far in the early season, each with a record of 2 victories and no defeats. And we welcome you to Cyclone Stadium in Ames. I'm Al Michaels along with Lee Grosscup. And Lee, over the years we've covered some great rivalries: Army-Navy, Penn State-Pitt, Michigan-Ohio State. What makes this one unique?
I think it's unique because these are the only 2 Division 1A schools in the entire state of Iowa, and also because of the fact that they are in different conferences. Now, historically, Iowa has dominated this series, but I think this is the most important point, Al, is that to the people of Iowa, this is their big game.
Well, it's a series that actually started back in the 1800s and then ran up through the 1930s. Then they had a 43-year hiatus. They started again in 1977, and so the 2 teams are now meeting on an annual basis very early in the season. As a former All-America quarterback yourself at the University of Utah, I know you appreciate great passers, and we're going to see one today in Chuck Long, who, along with Robbie Bosco, would have to be the best quarterback in the country.
I think Chuck Long is definitely one of the premier quarterbacks in college football today. He does all of the things you want in a quarterback. He has the size you like. He throws all types of passes. He's very resourceful, and according to his coach, Hayden Fry, he is the most unflappable quarterback that he has ever coached. Now, Alex Espinoza is probably not anywhere near in that class yet, but I think that Espinoza is probably better than his early statistics would show. I think the main thing that he's doing wrong right now is that he's pressing too hard. I think he needs to relax and trust his natural abilities, because he does have a strong arm and he throws well on the move.
He originally matriculated at Cal State Fullerton, sat out a year, and transferred to Iowa State. Now, both teams are ready to make their entrances. Those are the Cyclones of Iowa State at home, and here come the Hawkeyes of Iowa, who bust in here yesterday from Iowa City, which is in the eastern portion of the state. If you're not familiar with the geography, Ames, where we are today, and the home of Iowa State, is close to central Iowa, about 30 miles north of the state capital of Des Moines. But there are the Hawkeyes, who are 3rd ranked. Went to the Rose Bowl a few years back, of course, and were blown away by Washington. They think they can get back and redeem themselves this year. And a lot of people think they are the favorites in the Big Ten. Neither team, it appears, wants to be the first to come out onto the field. Traditionally, it's the visitors who make the entrance initially, and a little bit of a psychology, I think, going on right now. The official trying to hold back the Cyclones, but I think they're getting tired of waiting for the Hawkeyes, and so it's the Cyclones, apparently, who will come out first. And the crowd responds to their entrance, which is not quite a formal entrance as yet. More of a milling posture taking place in the end zone, but they have defeated Utah State by a score of 10-3 and Vanderbilt by a score of 20-17. Part of the problem is the bands are still out on the field, and the bench areas have not yet been cleared, so it's difficult for the teams to reach their respective benches. But it's Iowa and Iowa State about to commence very shortly from Ames, Iowa, and we'll be coming back with a kickoff for you right after this. The teams have finally reached their respective benches. The Iowa Hawkeyes, 3rd ranked. Auburn is number 1. Oklahoma, which opens tonight, is 2. Iowa is number 3. Iowa State, despite being 2-0, is unranked. And working with us today, patrolling the sidelines, will be Al Troutwig. Al?
Al, you know, the front page of the Des Moines Register today will give us a large window into the minds of the 55,000-plus fans that are here. You know that so many of them come from farm country, and it's an industry in trouble. We've heard about the debt, and we've heard about Farm Aid, and Friday, the corn prices dropped to under $2 a bushel. That is real bad news to the people here. But on this Saturday, every single one of them will choose red and gold or black and gold, and they'll pick a team. And they'll forget about the problems in the farming industry, at least for today, and cheer like crazy. One note about the field, you know it started raining a few minutes ago, but this field is only seeing its 3rd game played upon it, and it is a very, very strong turf surface, so the players will have good grip with their shoes, and the rain, the little bit that we've had, shouldn't be a problem. Back to you and Lee.
All right, Alan, it has stopped raining, at least for the moment. We had a brief shower 15 minutes ago. It's 54 degrees, and the wind is coming out of the northeast, and it feels like it. It's very chilly. Cloudy, high overcast. Chance of rain 50%. It appears to be the type of day where we will have a shower now and then as a front moves in. There is Alex Espinoza. We mentioned he originally enrolled at Cal State Fullerton. Wanted to play what he called big-time college football. Cal State Fullerton has a terrific baseball program, but they're under the level of the top-ranked teams when it comes to football, so he wanted to move on and had a chance to go to Iowa State. And he is their quarterback, and he'll see some early action because the Hawkeyes of Iowa will kick off to the Cyclones. The middleman for the Cyclones is Paul Thibodeau, a freshman from Chicago. A look around Cyclone Stadium. Beautiful facility right on campus. Capacity around 55,000. The game has been sold out since the 1st of August. Rob Hoatland, who is an excellent kicker. In fact, last week, Hayden Fry had him line up to attempt a 71-yard field goal prior to the half. He didn't make it, but when you send your kicker in and give him a chance to make one from that distance, you have a lot of confidence in him. So Hoatland will kick off. He's from Glenville, Illinois. He can also do some punting. And he falls down on a slick surface. The kick travels 10 yards, and it is Iowa recovering. And we'll have to take another look at this to see if he did it on purpose or was it an accident right off the bat.
Hoatland, number 7, coming up, approaching the ball right there, and I think you're absolutely right. He slipped. His left foot went down. He did not connect with the football. So the Clones early on have very opportunistic field position.
You're not going to see that very often because of the brief shower. It's a little slick. Down he went. He initially obviously was chagrined, but then smiled, and you could not have planned it any better for an onside kick because the ball traveled barely 10 yards, and Rick Bayless, a running back who plays on the special teams, is the man who recovers it.
What happened. The ball was not touched by the receiving team, and the kicking team recovered the football after it had gone 10 yards.
He means the kicking team after it went 10 yards, and it barely goes 10 yards. Referee is Vance Carlton. He is out of the Big 8, the conference of which Iowa State is a member. It's a mixed crew, Big 8 and Big 10 officials working today. So the Hawkeyes with the mistake on the kickoff, but they are the beneficiary of it. And Long is the quarterback. He threw 5 TD passes last week. And begins by checking off at the line of scrimmage on the first play. A short drop, pressure, and a sack back at the 39. Jeff Braswell, number 51, the middle linebacker, shot through to get him. Long, the quarterback. Fred Bush is the fullback, doesn't carry much. The big ball carrier is that man, Ronnie Harmon. Scott Helverson is the wingback, number 87. And Bill Happel, the wide receiver who caught 9 passes last week, number 40. Loss of 10. Second down and 20 at the 40-yard line. Harmon and Bush are the running back. And they give it to Harmon, and down he goes. And you can see that the turf has already played a big part in this game. Mike Flagg is the tight end as we look at the offensive line. Crossland is a 275-pounder. Tom Humphrey, 265 from Long Island. Mark Singlinger is 255. Kelly O'Brien, the Irishman, is 265. Mike Haight, 275, so a lot of bulk up front for the Hawkeyes. Third down, 21. The Hawkeyes have it at the 40-yard line. Noisy crowd. Long, protected well this time, throws deep, incomplete. Scott Helverson was well covered on the play. And so Iowa unable to capitalize and they'll have to punt. Mays and Anthony covering. A look there at the line of the linebackers for Iowa State. We saw Braswell with the sack, and the good coverage by the Cyclone secondary there, forcing the fourth down situation here, and into punt for Iowa, Gary Castrubala. Back deep to receive is Mylan Pitts, who's one of the best in the country. It's a low, bouncing kick. Pitts from the 13-yard line, looking for a block. Out past the 20, the 30, and Pitts takes it to the 33. A flag goes down. A 20-yard run back. He came into the game among the country's leaders, averaging a little more than 11. Alex Espinoza, the quarterback. Kirk Thomas is the fullback. Al Watson, the tailback, a couple of journeyman ball carriers. Danny Gant, one wide out, and Ken Anderson is the other. See about the penalty as Iowa State had it run back to the 33-yard line, and they'll pick up 5 more as they take it to the 38. Here's the call from Carlson. Face mask.
Incidental face mask on the defense. First down.
First and 10 now for Iowa State. Cyclones have it, 38-yard line. We're a minute and a half into the game with no score. Iowa, a 3-touchdown favorite. Espinoza sends Gant in motion to the inside, and the pitch back to Al Watson. Turns it up for about 8 yards. Larry Station, the All-America linebacker, 36, was there. Jeff Watka is the tight end from Des Moines. Bruce Westermeyer is 269. Eric Hoondorf is 272. Shannon Maudsley, 259-pounder. The other guard is Vince Jasper at 260, and Eggleston is 6'8", and listed at 298, and he was up to 337 in the spring. Then he went to Weight Watchers. Second down and 2 at the 46. Again, it's Watson. Has the first down and takes it into Hawkeye territory to the 47-yard line. Good block by that big man, Eggleston. Iowa defensively, good unit. Frost is a man to watch, so is Peterson. Larry Station, one of the linebackers, 36. And this is the team that leads the country in total defense, though they have met inferior opposition this year. Sims, Norvell, Mitchell, and Queer, the secondary. They have beaten Drake and Northern Illinois. First and 10, ball at the 47-yard line. And again, it's Watson, this time the other side. Stop for a minimal gain. And Lee, it would seem to me one of the things that Iowa State has to do is develop something on the ground, but they really don't have that breakaway threat in the backfield.
Well, in talking to Jim Kreiner yesterday, we asked him what it would take for an upset and what would indeed be a textbook game plan. He said, we have to make Iowa defense the entire field. We can't go with just a small selection of plays. So balance and diversification are going to be the keys for them offensively today.
That wasn't a typo. Defensively, the opponents are held to negative rushing yardage thus far. The pass is complete for another first down to Danny Gant, number 81. And Espinoza, who at one point last week threw 14 consecutive incomplete passes against Vanderbilt, is on the money with his first today.
But I told you at the top of the show that he had more ability than his early statistics would show. Danny Gant, number 81, the flanker, is 6'3", 206 pounds, a transfer out of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, spent a year at Cerritos JC before coming over to Iowa State. He ran a hook pattern, and Espinoza was right on target.
That's Gant in motion again. Ball at the 33-yard line. First and 10 for State. On a rollout, Espinoza fires, and it's complete at the 23-yard line to Kent Anderson. Very close to a first down. And Espinoza is 2 for his first 2 as he finds number 26, Anderson, out of Bloomfield, Iowa.
I told you that Espinoza throws well on the move. Spread out to the left. Anderson on a sideline cut at about 10 yards. Keeps that foot in bounds. In college football, 1 foot is all that is needed on the sideline route.
They pick up the first. It's 3 successive first downs. Good Iowa State early drive. Ball at the 22-yard line. And again, they pitch it back to the tailback, Watson. Gain of close to 4. It'll be second and 6. They have Watson. They also have a running back by the name of Andrew Jackson, who comes from Los Angeles. They have a very highly regarded freshman in Marcus Rogers, who we may see today. The fullback saw some action in game one. Kirk Thomas, who was the leading ground gainer in that one, but they don't go to him all that often. On second down and a long stick, it's complete again to Danny Gant at the 10-yard line and a first down. Iowa State looked dastardly on offense in the first half last week against Vanderbilt. They got nothing going, but they come out looking very good today.
Another quick pass to the left sideline to Danny Gant. He's covered by Nate Freer, number 29. So Espinoza, who was erratic in the first 2 weeks of play, as we mentioned, comes out hot today, 3 for 3 for 33 yards.
He came into the game averaging 39%. It's first and 10 from the 10, and Espinoza takes it to the 8. They can conceivably get a first down without the touchdown, as they started this series inches from the 10-yard line. But in essence, it's second down and goal. Danny Gant getting into it that time with Ken Sims, the receiver and the defensive back. Appeared to be ready to duke it out, but that was quickly broken up.
Well, we talked about the intensity of this rivalry. In fact, they didn't play at all for 43 years. They have only played twice since 1920 before the renewal of the rivalry.
That's Watson, and he is stopped at the 8-yard line. Larry Station wraps him up. Jim Kreiner watching his team trying to put the ball in the end zone, and what a big lift this would be after losing the opening kickoff, a mistake by Iowa that turned out to be in their favor with the recovery of the errant kick. Then they're able to stop the Hawkeyes, launch this long drive, and he'd sure like to see it end with 7 on the board instead of 3. 9:15 to go, first quarter. Third down from just inside the 9-yard line. Espinoza rolling right, looking into the end zone, throwing, and Gant drops the ball, and may have been out of bounds anyway. Danny Gant was there, had his body shielding him from the defensive back, but couldn't hold it.
Sprint out to the wide side of the field on a key third down play, and Danny Gant, the wide receiver number 81, is running a sideline cut. Now watch his feet. I think definitely he would have had a touchdown, and those are the kind of plays that really cost you football games.
Rick Frank, who kicked a last-second field goal last week to win the game 2017 over Vandy, with a 26-yard attempt and an angle. Ball will be spotted at the 16-yard line, and the left-footed kicker's kick is no good. He missed it. So a good drive, but all for naught, as it turns out, as Frank misses a chip shot with 8:56 to go in the period. To pick up at least 3 and at least 6, as it turns out, on what would have been a touchdown pass.
Watch the hands of Danny Gant, the wide receiver, number 81 here. He crosses his hands. Has he made a basket catch right there and looked it in, I think he would have had an easy touchdown.
Here's Ronnie Harmon carrying the ball on first down and bumped out of bounds at the 28-yard line. Ronnie Harmon, their top threat out of the backfield, run out by Anthony Mays. Harmon is backed up by his brother, Kevin Harmon, and his other brother, Derek Harmon, has made his mark with the San Francisco 49ers.
Very much so.
Harmon was originally a wingback when he began his career at Iowa City, and now is the tailback in the eye. They send Robert Smith wide to the left, give the ball to Fred Bush, the up back, and he has the first down as he takes it out to the 31-yard line. Gain of 3, and Iowa has its initial first down of the day. Gain of 3, and Iowa has its initial first down of the day.
Harmon was the second-best all-purpose runner in college football last year. Keith Byers of Ohio State, number 1. But in talking to Iowa officials earlier this week, they felt that Harmon was really the key to their offense next to Long. Get the ball to Ronnie Harmon in as many different ways as possible.
He gives you another thing to think about. You know you've got Chuck Long to try to stop or contain, and then Harmon is no slouch, and here he is again, taking it out to the 34-yard line. So it's what every coach tries to instill. Balance, it's easier said than done, but when you've got a Chuck Long, you know you've got a great passing attack, especially with his bevy of receivers, and Harmon makes the team that much more formidable.
They have 4 receivers who are all very capable, and they have them distributed very well. 2 of them are possession receivers, and 2 of them are burners.
Second down and 7. Happel and Smith. Happel, a possession receiver, wide to the right side, and Smith, a burner, wide to the left. Rolling left, throwing to Harmon, but nothing gets set up on that play, and he is dropped after a minimal gain, and we'll get a word with Jim Lampley.
All right, Al, at Knoxville, Tennessee, Auburn did not score on their first possession. Tennessee did, and so the Volunteers lead 17-0. Also, Pittsburgh and West Virginia are finished with a 10-10 tie. West Virginia scoring the tying TD with 4 minutes to go in the game. Nealon elected to kick for the tie rather than to go for 2 to take the lead, and they wound up with neither team threatening again. Back to Al Michaels.
All right, Jim, and here it's 3rd down and 7 as Chuck Long drops straight back, throws over the middle, and a fine catch is made at the 44 by Scott Helverson. Long with a strong arm rifles it, and Helverson right there, and another first down for the Hawkeyes.
Long is in a 7-step drop here. Good rush there applied by Lear, and here is an excellent catch by Helverson on the hook route as he has to turn back to his outside.
Incidentally, when Harmon caught the pass on the play before the last one, that was the 27th straight game in which he has caught a pass. So they love to go to the tailback. They give it to him this time. Big hole opens up into Cyclone territory. First down at the 45-yard line. Kevin Colin, number 5, making the tackle with 6 minutes and 48 seconds to go in the period.
As you were saying, with Harmon in, they are very tailback oriented. Misdirection play off the right side. Good blocking there, particularly by Humphrey, number 65. And it's Kevin Colin, number 5, in the secondary, who makes the open field tackle on Ronnie Harmon. 12 yards on that play, 4 carries now for 22 yards as he gets off to a fast start.
1st and 10 Hawkeyes off the play fake. It's Long throwing to a secondary receiver. That's Harmon. And he takes it to the 43-yard line for a gain of 1. Stopped there by Jeff Braswell. Hayden Fry, in his 7th season at the University of Iowa, longtime coach at SMU and then North Texas State. He's 56 years old, and he's had a great deal of success at Iowa City, and his team regarded by many as the team to beat on the way to the Rose Bowl this year.
And he has a unique distinction. He has been Coach of the Year in 3 different conferences: Southwest, Missouri Valley, and Big Ten.
2nd down and 9, and it's the fullback Bush fighting his way forward to the 40-yard line. Fred Bush from Union Beach, New Jersey, scored a touchdown in the Freedom Bowl last year. Iowa went out to Anaheim and blew Texas away 55-17 in that one.
Fred Akers said after that game that Chuck Long was as perfect as any quarterback he had ever seen. Long has played in 4 different bowl games, could conceivably play in 5.
On 3rd down and 6, Long throws over the middle, and it's complete to Harmon. And another first down as he sends Harmon right out of the backfield, straight down the middle, and all the way down to the 22-yard line.
Straight drop back action, and he looks first to his long receiver, comes underneath the number 31, Ronnie Harmon, who is as effective as a receiver as he is as a runner. So Long, who we talked about as a high percentage passer, starts out 4 of 5 in the passing department, and he looks as good as he's ever looked.
On first down from the 22-yard line, another wide open receiver at the 14 is Robert Smith, number 2, for a gain of 8. Stopped by Marlon Pitts. Lee mentioned Long with a chance to play in 5 bowl games, and we'll elaborate.
3-step drop here, and all he's running is a quick sideline cut. Robert Smith, of course, being the burner we talked about, so Pitts has to leave him a little bit of a cushion. So he takes the ball along the sideline. Long has played in the Rose Bowl, the Peach Bowl, the Gator Bowl, and the Freedom Bowl. Ideally, he would like to go back to the Rose Bowl again, but if not, he could conceivably play In a different bowl, that would make 5 different bowls in 5 years.
2nd and 1. They'll use it as a passing down, and it's complete at the 4-yard line to Dave Murphy, the backup tight end who has not made a catch yet this season. So there is number 1, and it sets him up inside the 5.
Little play action fake to the left, a turn back to the right, and the tight end Murphy along the right sideline really has no coverage, and he's very conscious of his left foot there and does a good job of tapping the 1 foot before going out of bounds.
The reason Long can play in 5 bowl games, he was granted a red shirt in his freshman season when he played so infrequently, but he did get into the Rose Bowl that year for just a couple of plays. So he was granted the extra year. He's a 5th-year senior. And he gives it to Bush, and Bush takes it in for the touchdown as he broke the plane. And the Iowa Hawkeyes, after the missed Iowa State field goal, take the ball at the 20-yard line and methodically, with good balance on the ground and in the air, go all the way down the field, 80 yards for the score, and lead it with 4 minutes and 11 seconds to play in the first quarter.
Fred Bush, the senior fullback, 6'2", 230 pounds, goes off the right side, and the blocking is perfect on the slant play. He just takes a little move to the outside. Mike Flagg, number 86, the tight end, got a good block to lead the way.
Rob Holtman's extra point is good. He is now 14 of 15 this season. Iowa's done a lot of scoring, and they're on the board first today. 7-0 Hawkeyes. First quarter at Cyclone Stadium in Ames, Iowa. The Iowa Hawkeyes leading Iowa State by a score of 7-0 on a gray and breezy day. Temperature in the low 50s. Sold out here. And the Iowa Hawkeyes have taken the lead on the road. Their first road outing of the season.
Chuck Long was perfect on that last drive, 6 of 6 for 47 yards. Of course, you remember he set the NCAA record when he completed 22 consecutive passes against Indiana.
Holtman now to kick off. The last time he did this, he slipped. This time he maintains his footing and boots the ball into the end zone, and it's down there. And so out to the 20-yard line come the Cyclones. We can tell you that tomorrow, ABC's Sunday afternoon baseball, that's the game you'll be seeing from the Metrodome. The Kansas City Royals and the California Angels in a tussle in the American West. The Royals are taking on Minnesota tomorrow. You'll see it at 2 Eastern time. And we can tell you that in a game which started this morning at the Metrodome and is over now, Kansas City lost to Minnesota today 5-3. California leads Cleveland 3-0 in the 6th. The 2 teams tied for first place at the start of play today. Watson goes nowhere. Stopped behind the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd down and 12 at the 18-yard line. There's Long on the headset. Long could have opted for a pro career. He had a choice whether to play it out at Iowa in his 5th year or turn pro. Did a lot of soul searching, did some vacillating, in fact, he told us yesterday, and then opted to return. He wants to go back to the Rose Bowl. 2nd down and 12 from the 18-yard line. Watson, nice little hole opens for him, and he gains 10. It will be 3rd down and 2, and let's get another update from Jim Lampley.
All right, Al, 2 top 10 teams have won. Penn State beating Rutgers 17-10. Ultimately, the winning touchdown, a 55-yard fourth-quarter run by Steve Smith. And Michigan beat Maryland 20-0. 3rd straight win over a top 20 opponent. Michigan is the only team in the country, Al, which has yet to give up a touchdown. Back to you.
Bo Schembechler, never underestimate him. 3rd down and 2 from the 28-yard line. And it's Kirk Thomas trying to get out to the 30. It's real simple when they spot the ball. If the nose of it touches the stripe, they have the first down since it started from the 20-yard line. So it depends on the spot. And he appears, well, they haven't put the ball down yet, so let's take a look when they do. He appears to be short, just short. And so it is 4th down and too early to gamble, and Kreiner sends in the punting unit. 2:30 remaining first quarter. Brian Refner had some trouble last week kicking, but he was a JC All-America punter in Hutchinson, Kansas, averaging 35.2 per kick. Robert Smith and Bill Happel are back deep. Good distance, but it's very low, and we should have a return from Happel from the 30 back out to the 41-yard line. So a 10-yard run back. Off the punt by Ruffner, and the Hawkeyes have it again. With 2 minutes to go in the first period, 7-0 Iowa.
Not be slippery. Iowa disagreed. This Iowa bench looked like a shoe store having a sale a few minutes ago. Everybody putting on new shoes to grip the turf. Let's go back upstairs to Alan Lee.
And it didn't take them long to find out right from the opening kickoff when Holtland fell down. 1st and 10 for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Long going the other way and incomplete. Terrence Anthony, who last week was the Big 8 Defensive Player of the Week, had Scott Helverson well covered on the play. Iowa State likes to play, and has in the past, a lot of man-to-man defense, which will be right up Long's alley, but it's obvious that Kreinerly is going to have to adjust and shift and try to confuse them a bit today.
Jim Kreiner told us yesterday that he would be more multiple in this game than at any time during the 1985 season, and in addition to pressure on Long, they want to confuse him as much as possible with multiple coverage.
Easier said than done. Harmon, big hole, and into Cyclone territory. A first down, tripped up by Anthony Mays. So Harmon, early on in this one, finding a lot of room in the middle.
Ronnie Harmon has tremendous ability. As we look at Braswell, number 51 in the middle, he's the leading tackler and inspirational leader on the team. It's Dave Croston, number 61, getting a good shot on Braswell, and that opens it up for number 31, the tailback, Ronnie Harmon.
1st and 10 Iowa from the 45-yard line. Long on a short drop, throws a little out pattern to Helverson, and complete. He's out of bounds near the 37-yard line. Gain of 8. Milan Pitts with the coverage.
Again, the quick passing game by number 16, Chuck Long, one of the leading Heisman Trophy candidates. Scott Helverson, the possession receiver, number 87, takes the ball along the right sideline. He got just ahead of Milan Pitts, number 28. The ball was thrown low and outside with a very flat trajectory, and that's just perfect. That's the way you should throw the sideline cut.
Quinn Early is in the game. He's number 1, split wide to the right. Long is back to throw. A flag goes down. The throw is incomplete at the 29-yard line, and a marker is down at the 40, and it appears to be a holding call against Iowa. Referee Vance Carlson out of the Big 8 Conference. Lee's point at the beginning of the show is an unusual one in the sense that most traditional rivals play in the same conference. That helps to create that rivalry. And even though these two are close geographically, Iowa, a member of the Big 10, and Iowa State, for years, a member of the Big 8 Conference.
We have holding on the offense, 2nd down.
So Iowa is the only state with a Division I-A school from the Big 8 and the Big 10.
On 2nd down and long, Harmon takes it to the 38-yard line. And it will be 3rd down and 3 coming up.
So far, this is just exactly what Hayden Fry had hoped for. He told me yesterday that he would like to really achieve balance in his offense, and he says they practice that way. He said they try to work 50% of the time on their running game, 50% of the time on their passing game, despite the fact that he has a great quarterback in Chuck Long. He really likes balance, and he also is very defense-oriented.
3rd down and a short 3. Long opts to go to the air and throws it over the middle, complete to Mike Flagg, the tight end. Flagg releasing at the line of scrimmage, looking back, making the catch, and another 1st down.
The book on Chuck Long is that he reads coverage better than any quarterback in America. And Hayden Fry will certainly confirm that. He has had some great quarterbacks through the years, including Chuck Hickson of SMU, who once threw 69 passes in a single game against Ohio State.
28-yard line. This time Harmon is finally stopped as Jim Luber's number 48, and the pros really like him. That man right there, number 48, Jim Luber's out of Shell Rock, Iowa. was right there to stop him.
We talked to Lubers yesterday as we take another look at him. He came here originally as a linebacker. He has put on 40 pounds and improved his bench press considerably. And as a result of that, he now is a bona fide pro prospect, could be an early round pick.
And that 2-yard loss marks the end of the first quarter. 15 minutes gone in Ames. And Iowa leads Iowa State 7-0. Cyclone Stadium in Ames, Iowa. Al Michaels with Lee Grostup and Al Troutwig starting the second period. Iowa leading Iowa State by a score of 7-0. And Iowa with the football at the state 30-yard line. It is second down and 12. Chuck Long back to throw. Good protection as he stays in the pocket and fires incomplete. Mike Flagg juggles it at the 17-yard line.
However, that was a perfectly thrown sideline pass to Mike Flagg.
Other scores, Tennessee now leading Auburn 14-0. Iowa very interested in the outcome of that one, obviously, because Auburn is number 1 and Iowa number 3. Ohio State got off to a good early start, and they lead Washington State by 18 points in the fourth period. Penn State, as Jim Lampley told you, beat Rutgers 17-10. On third down and 12, keep it on the ground. Harmon fumbles the ball, but Iowa has recovered it. The center, Mark Sindlinger, turned around, and it was right there for him. So they do keep possession. The pop was made by Jim Lubers, who has picked up Harmon's number. That's twice in a row Lubers has gotten in to stop it.
Surprising call on third and long yardage to give the ball to the tailback, Harmon. But it's Jim Lubers, who we talked about moments ago, number 48, who really gets a shot on Harmon, forcing the fumble. However, the Hawks maintain possession of it. Kind of a strange call there on third and an obvious passing situation.
Rob Hoatland will attempt a 47-yard field goal. The ball will be spotted at the 37-yard line at a slight angle. The kick is long enough, and the kick is good. A 47-yard field goal by Hoatland, so a very important fumble recovery by Sindlinger. Keeps possession, nets them 3 more. It's 10-0 Hawkeyes.
A very specially designed knee brace that both coaches feel have presented injuries. Here's Sherry Bowman, Miss Iowa, showing how easily this brace can be adapted to fit just about anybody. Back to you, Al. Lee.
You couldn't find an offensive lineman for that demo, huh? I like your style, Troutwig. You're with us every week, pal.
There you go, Wigger.
A couple of more like that, and Troutwig's going to go into the Hall of Fame. 14:05 to go in the half. 10-0 Iowa on top. Hoatland's kick is a squib bouncer fielded at the 14-yard line by Paul Thibodeau. And he takes it back up to the 30. And it will be first and 10 for the Cyclones when they begin their next drive at that spot. A minute into the second quarter, Iowa leading Iowa State 10-0. Stadium a little quiet right now as the Iowa Hawkeyes lead 10-0, and Iowa State has the ball at the 30-yard line, first and 10. Espinoza, the quarterback. They had a good first drive today, but it came up short with a missed field goal. He'll go to the air, he has protection, and his throw is dropped at the 32-yard line by Marcus Rogers, the freshman. Let's get an update from New York.
Well, Al, the #1 team in the nation finds McGee from 37 yards out, and now the Volunteers lead the team rated #1 in both polls, 14-0 in the second quarter. Back to Al Michaels.
All right, Jim, and here on second down and 10, Espinoza back to throw over the middle and dropped at the 42-yard line by Danny Gann, and you can't put it there any more perfectly.
Danny Gann, who dropped the touchdown earlier, and I think that there's been one big play that has really affected this first half. It was the touchdown drop by Danny Gann. Now here, he has a chance to redeem himself. Alex Espinoza slides forward in the pocket with good protection. The ball hits him right on the numbers, and he just flat drops it.
Lee, every time a receiver drops a pass, there is grumbling among some Iowa State partisans about a couple of guys who were dropped from the team. We'll get into that in a moment. Third down and 10 from the 30-yard line. Espinoza fakes the draw, protected well, throws A short pass to the 30 to the freshman Rogers, but he doesn't have the first down. He takes it to the 34. But Iowa State may have suspended their best two receivers prior to the season.
Tracy Henderson and Robbie Minor. Henderson, of course, being an All-American who is now playing professional football. He was cut by the New York Giants, picked up in the Canadian Football League. And, of course, Robbie Minor, another wide receiver. So those two were considered their best.
Booted off the team by Coach Jim Kreiner.
For disciplinary reasons. Didn't want to go along with the program.
Refner's kick. Good high kick. A fair catch is made at the 20-yard line by Bill Happel. So Iowa State can't move the ball. No fault of Espinoza, however. They give it up, though, and the Hawkeyes have it again and a 10-point margin. And 10 from the Iowa 21-yard line. Long throw is caught at the 44-yard line by Ronnie Harmon, who makes a great catch. Right off the turf. Just before the ball hits the ground, it's Harmon reaching down for it. Great play.
I've always liked this action. It's a little bootleg action to the left. Fakes the sweep, comes left, and Harmon has gone up the right sideline on a deep swing route. He gets behind the linebacker. Long throws the ball with a soft looping trajectory, so it's very catchable for Harmon.
Long is now 9 out of 12 for 87 yards. That one covers 22. First and 10 Iowa from the 43-yard line. It's Harmon again, and he nearly broke it. You can see the flag come into the picture as Mays made the tackle. They'll spot it at the 48, but we'll see about the penalty. This is a very big drive for Iowa State to stop. They're already down 10-0. Holding is the call against Iowa. That'll help the Cyclones. And as we look at the first quarter stats, Lee, Iowa State just does not have that explosive offense, and they cannot afford to be 17 back.
Well, sometimes statistics can be misleading, but as we look at these numbers, I think it's very indicative of how the game really is, because you see Iowa with 109 total yards to 64 for Iowa State, and time of possession a little bit ahead, so that's just about the game, the way the game is taking shape.
Iowa State had a chance to move in and score at least 3 points. They missed the field goal, also had the opportunity for the touchdown, and Gant couldn't hold the ball. And they're being shut out right now and down by 10. On first and 20, Long going long for Smith, and it's incomplete. He was covered by Terrence Anthony on the play, and it will be second down and 20. And let's check in with Jim again.
Al, it's over at West Lafayette, Indiana. For the third time in Jerry Faust's 5 years, the Boilermakers of Purdue beating Notre Dame 35-17. Worst Irish loss to Purdue since 1960. And Faust, now having lost to Purdue 3 times in 5 years, is also beginning this season at 1 win and 2 losses. Back to Ames, Iowa, Al Michaels and Lee Grosskopf.
So the woes for the Notre Dame coach continue as Long goes back to pass here, gets blindsided and throws into traffic, and it was nearly picked off. Boy, was he popped by Anthony Mays, number 41 on a safety blitz. Came circling in, and Chuck never saw him.
Safety blitz from the outside. This is an unusual version of the safety blitz, but watch number 41 come to the blind side of number 16, Chuck Long, just as Chuck starts to step forward in the pocket, and he really gets up high and hard into the middle of his back.
It's third down now, third and 19. Hawkeyes with it from the 34-yard line. 12:37 remaining in the first half. Screen pass that's set up nicely to the 40-yard line, and out to the 48-yard line goes Harmon, but he's shy of the first down by 5. Again, it's Mays making the tackle, and it will be fourth down and 5.
Mays and Ferguson made the stop.
This week on Monday Night Football, the matchup out of the AFC Central, the Cincinnati Bengals against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you'll see it at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Gary Castrubala to do the punting as he stands at his own 37-yard line, and it's a wobbly short kick. It does, however, take a decent Iowa bounce. Now starts to come back the other way, and they down the ball at the 22-yard line. So the Cyclones will take over after that 30-yard kick, and we have 11:47 to go in the first half. Ninth inning. California and Cleveland now tied 5-5 in the ninth inning at Municipal Stadium in Cleveland as we come back here, and Iowa State has the football at the 22-yard line. On first down, Kirk Thomas, the fullback, picks up 4. And again, those of you following baseball, Minnesota beat Kansas City today in a morning game at the Metrodome. And we'll be up at the Metrodome tomorrow for you at 2 Eastern time for the Royals and the Twins again. The Angels could lead by a game if they beat Cleveland. Or if they lose to the Indians, they'll still be tied with Kansas City going into action tomorrow. Espinoza from the 26-yard line on second down and 6. Rolling. Going back the other way now. Improvising. Turning the corner, seeking the first down, but he is just shy of it as he takes it out of bounds at the 31-yard line. The reason the Royals and the Twins played so early today was so that they could get the Metrodome ready for football tonight as Oklahoma finally opens its schedule against the Golden Gophers of Minnesota in a game that I believe begins at 7 o'clock in Minneapolis.
Lou Holtz, Barry Switzer. Good shootout there.
Auburn #1 this week, but losing at the moment to Tennessee. Oklahoma 2 and Iowa 3. It's third down and a yard. And out of the power eye, lumbering ahead was Marcus Rogers. They give it to the freshman, and he is bounced back. He really never got started. Very tentative. That's his first college carry. He is very highly touted. They want to bring him along slowly. He's out of Joplin, Missouri. His first college carry is on a key play here, but they bunch him up.
Well, he has the size you like. He's 6'3", 230 pounds, and he runs about a 4.5, 4.6 40. But what Jim Kreiner told us yesterday is that he just really isn't ready yet for big-time college football, and he wants to bring him along slowly. He feels that you can really hurt a young man's career by bringing him along too fast.
They're going to measure anyway. It appeared they stopped him. And they, in fact, did. He looked very tentative on that replay. It looked like he didn't have a true idea as to where he wanted to go. It's his first carry. And a more experienced back would understand, I've got to pick up this much yardage. Go to it.
I think that's exactly what Kreiner meant when he said he wants to bring him along slowly. He wants to have him get a feel of what big-time college football is about.
Meanwhile, they're going to go for it. A big gamble here on fourth down from the 31-yard line. And Espinoza turns, gives the ball to the tailback Watson this time, and I don't think he got it. The Iowa defense, pretty sure they've stopped him, and from where we sit, we're pretty sure ourselves. But they will measure.
Richard Pryor, number 99, key man on this stop. He'll be entertaining us at halftime.
Another measurement.
They bring out the sticks again. Ooh, this time very, very close. But with the referee getting down on his knees, they stopped him. Iowa football. So Kreiner gambles and loses.
They are just outmanned along the front wall, and not surprisingly, as you mentioned a moment ago, this is what Iowa does best. This is characteristic of Hayden Fry football. They said, don't worry about the defense. Said Hayden Fry is about as defensive as an armadillo.
.41 remaining in the first half. First and 10 for the Hawkeyes at the 31-yard line. They lead 10-0. Chuck Long calls Harmon's number again. Takes it to the 30 for a gain of 2. And let's get a word from Al Troutwick.
This is the television set of Brian Michelson. He is one of 4,000 people who paid for the privilege to sit on the grass and watch this game in the end zones. Brian, how does the telecast look so far?
Well, I think Allen Lee looked pretty good in black and white, but they look better in black and gold.
All right, back to you, gentlemen.
Everybody's got a line these days. That's terrific.
Everyone's famous for at least 15 seconds.
Andy Warhol's line. Second down at 9. And caught at the 24-yard line. Quinn early making the catch, and then he's pushed back. Mylan Pitts was there covering on the play. Spotted at the 24. His forward progress takes him that far. And it will be 3rd down and 3.
This is a key 3rd down right now for the Hawkeyes. A long 11 of 16 passing for 108 yards. They make the first down here and go in for another touchdown. This game has the makings of another blowout. Now, we've had 2 straight blowouts. It was 59-21 last season, and the year before it was 51-10. I covered that game here, and it really got away about this time in the game.
Meanwhile, Iowa not quite sure what they wanted to run. They were shuffling people in and out, and so they elect to call a timeout with a 3rd and 3 upcoming. The first timeout taken by the Hawkeyes today. Next week, a national game for you next Saturday. Notre Dame, and they'll try to rebound, having trouble. 1-2 against the Air Force Academy. A power to be reckoned with in the Western Athletic Conference, along with Brigham Young, and you'll see it beginning at 3 o'clock Eastern Time on CFA football 1 week from today. Other scores you know about: Tennessee leading Auburn 14-0 in the second quarter at Knoxville. Ohio State leading 41-20, so it'll be a long trip back to the Palouse for the Cougars. Michigan, the Wolverines, taking care of the Terrapins by a score of 20-0. The Crimson Tide over Vanderbilt, 40-20. And the Boilermakers with that 35-17 victory over the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Meanwhile, Michigan State defeating Western Michigan. And a big surprise there, only by a score of 7-3. Halftime, how about Northwestern leading again by a score of 21-10. Here's Long back to throw on 3rd and 3. The play action, receiver wide open, and a first down at the 11-yard line as number 87 Helverson is run out of bounds there.
That's another thing about Chuck Long that makes him one of the premier quarterbacks in America, is that on 3rd down conversions he has consistently come up with big plays. It's Scott Helverson crossing from left to right. Number 87 in the slot goes on a crossing pattern. It's Kevin Cullen, number 5, who makes the stop along the sideline. There was a nice play action fake by Long. He took his time, he scanned the field, and as usual came up with a big play.
Ball right on the 10-yard line, so it's first down and goal, and it's Harmon who gets to the 5, slips to the outside, looking for room, trying to get in, but he's run out of bounds near the goal line. Pushed out by Pitts, temporarily saving a touchdown with 9:01 to go in the half.
Iowa officials are saying that Ronnie Harmon, number 31, is looking more and more like Roger Craig of the San Francisco 49ers. He has a similar stride. He is an all-purpose player. He has the moves, the little juke step, the hesitation, and he can find a way to hurt you just about any time he gets his hands on the football.
Second down and goal. The Hawkeyes at the 2-yard line. Iowa leading 10-0, trying to make it 17. Harmon sweeping to the outside, turning the corner, and in there for the score. Number 31, Ronnie Harmon, going in for the touchdown. 16-0 Iowa.
What a weapon is Ronnie Harmon as he takes the power pitch. This is one of the key plays out of the I formation, and in a way, he falls into an old single-wing tailback as he scans the field, takes a look, sees that there is daylight to the outside, uses his speed, a little stiff arm, and on into the end zone.
Good day thus far for Harmon. 11 carries, 55 yards, a 5-yard average. He goes in for the score. The extra point attempt coming here. Holtland's kick. in the hold of Mark Lassig. Makes it 17-0. So the Hawkeyes on top with 8:55 to go in the half. Contrast mood-wise, though it doesn't necessarily show visually. On the left, Hayden Fry, his team leading 17-0. On the right, Jim Kreiner, his team not only trailing 17-0, but really in dire straits right now in light of the fact with his offense it's going to be very, very difficult to muster the number of points necessary to overcome this Iowa advantage. But still, obviously, a lot of time left with 8:55 to go in the first half. But he has to rethink what's going to take place here and probably pull something out of the hat, because the Hawkeyes are a very formidable opponent under any circumstances. And the squibbing, bouncing kick is down by Thibodeau at the 13-yard line. So the Cyclone woes continue. Scores and highlights coming up at halftime. Also, Kenneth Davis, who was the TCU running back, suspended last week, along with several other teammates at Fort Worth. He will be interviewed at halftime. Cleveland overcoming California, and so in a race that nobody seems to want to win in the American West, the Royals lose today, and so do the Angels, and they're still tied for first place. From the 14-yard line, Espinoza on a short roll, lofts it out complete, and a first down to Jeff Watka out of the 26-yard line. Gain of 13. First and 10.
Pushed him out of bounds at the 26-yard line. Cyclone first down.
Good play action that time by quarterback Alex Espinoza as he bootlegged to his left and found Watka on a crossing pattern. Right now, the Cyclones need a drive.
First and 10 from the 27-yard line. Espinoza. Whistle had sounded before the inception of the play, so the play is whistle dead. Gant made the catch that time, something he hasn't been doing with great frequency.
Illegal procedure signaled against
An illegal procedure. In fact, Gant has been the key man for Iowa State thus far today. Had he caught that touchdown pass off that first drive, had he caught the earlier long pass, it would be a different story at the moment.
Yeah, dead ball foul. Movement by the interior lineman on the offense. First down.
Gant made a 40-yard catch last week to set up what turned out to be the game-ending winning field goal. There are the up-to-date standings in the American West right now. Each team with 8 to go, and again we'll have Sunday baseball for you. The Royals against the Twins from Minnesota tomorrow. First and 15 with Espinoza throwing, and Gant trying to hold on this time, and does. The ball popped loose after he made contact with the ground. Let's check in with Jim again.
Alan, take a look at the kind of athleticism that has #1 ranked Auburn in major trouble. Tennessee at the Auburn 4-yard line. Tony Robinson under a tremendous rush. Puts it up for grabs, and Vince Carter grabs it between two defenders. It is now 21-0. Tennessee over #1 ranked Auburn. 8:18 to go in the second quarter. Back to Al Michaels.
Down and one. The ball pops loose. The fumble is recovered, I believe, by the Hawkeyes. They'll have to unpile, and the signal that Iowa has recovered, which is the last thing that Iowa State needed at this particular moment. Doug Burrell made the recovery. Kirk Thomas dropped the football.
Kirk Thomas on a straight dive play from his fullback position is going over his right guard. Larry Station, number 36, the All-American linebacker, gets a hit and strips the football, and it's Doug Burrell, the defensive end for the Hawks, who comes in and covers it, and now once again they have very opportune field position.
From the 35-yard line, Hawkeyes first down and 10. They lead 17-0, 7:36 to go in the half. Long hit as he throws, but completes it to the 23-yard line. A first down to Scott Helverson. He's been calling his number a lot. Number 87.
I said at the top of the show that Hayden Fry has called Chuck Long the most unflappable quarterback that he has ever coached. Now watch how the big guy, 6'4", 215 pounds, stands tall in the pocket despite the pressure right there. And it's Helverson, his wide receiver, on a crossing pattern right in front of the secondary there. It is Milan Pitts. He comes in front of Milan Pitts for the reception.
From the 23-yard line on first down, it's long, going deep for Smith, and broken up at the last moment. Pitts got a hand on it, deflected it away. Smith, good speed, got out in front.
Smith with a step on Milan Pitts, number 28. The ball this time is thrown about 2 yards short by quarterback Chuck Long. Had he been able to get that out front and a little bit wider, might have had a touchdown catch right there.
2nd and 10. Iowa with the ball at the 23-yard line. Harmon. Nice move. Cuts back to the inside. Touchdown. Boy, he picked and threaded his way through. Found the openings. Got the blocks he needed. And in for the score. And it's 23-0 Iowa.
Easy to see why pro scouts are becoming more and more excited about this man, number 31, Ronnie Harmon. Potential All-American for the Hawkeyes. Breaks the tackle there, makes a cut there, a sharp cut back, looks back over his shoulder, and he's on in for an easy touchdown. That's touchdown number 2 on the day for number 31 tailback Ronnie Harmon.
Ronnie Harmon snakes his way into the end zone to make it 23-0. Holtman to attempt the extra point. The backup quarterback, Vlasic, does the holding. It is partially blocked, but it is good. Somebody got a hand on the ball, but it goes through anyway. It's been that kind of first half for the Iowa Hawkeyes. 24-0 Hawkeyes, and let's get a word from Al Trautwig.
Al, yesterday, Coach told us how he instilled a winning attitude with these Iowa State Cyclones. They learned that, but they also learned a long time ago how to read. They know how they were heavily disfavored in this game. So I really thought they were going to be walking along an emotional tightrope, and if Iowa really started dumping on them early in the game, that they would fall out of the game up here. And I'm beginning to see that. There's a lot of chair kicking going on. There's a lot of grumbling. Alex Espinosa is looking from the sideline. He seems dejected. Right now, Iowa State is emotionally and completely out of this game. Back to you.
I would totally agree. I think, Lee, you got to go back to that very first drive when they looked so good. They had a bad break on the opening kickoff. It stopped Iowa. That great drive. It looked like they were going to have a touchdown. Gant dropped the ball, and they missed the field goal. And goodbye. Iowa moved down the field, led 7-0, and now all of a sudden it's 24-0.
Since that dropped reception in the end zone, it really has been all Iowa. That can have such an emotional effect on a team, and it has today.
This time that bounces at the 16-yard line, fielded on the run by Thibodeau, and he's dropped in a pile at the 31-yard line with 6 minutes and 54 seconds remaining in the first half.
So this would be a good time for the Cyclones to get back in the football game if they're going to do it. One of the things Jim Kreiner said yesterday, he says, we've got to move the sticks, meaning that they've got to put some drives together. And so far, they haven't been able to do that.
Crowd quiet. Next on the West Coast only, you'll see Barry McGuigan defend his WBA World Featherweight Championship against Bernard Taylor on the West Coast only following this one. 1st and 10 from the 31-yard line. Espinosa throwing over the middle for a 5-yard gain. Al Watson out of the backfield making the catch. It'll be 2nd and 5.
2nd and 5.
Becoming very dark, very ominous looking clouds now covering the surrounding area. Ames, Iowa, located in the middle of the state. They don't have lights here either. And it's beginning to rain a bit. 2nd and 5. Watson starts to slip. His knee didn't go down, though, and they stop him finally at the 39-yard line. Gain of 3. It'll be 3rd down and 2.
All of a sudden, about 50,000 umbrellas popped up.
Station and Norvell made the tackle.
Things not going swimmingly, no pun intended, for the Iowa State partisans in their ballpark right now. Their team's down 24-0. Dark gray day, and it's raining. Watson again, looking for that first down, and has it as he plunges forward to the 43-yard line. First down, Iowa State. They really don't have the resources to throw the bombs and try to go wild here and get all those points back in a hurry, and they're really mounting a drive about the only way they can do it. First down from the 43-yard line. Espinoza avoids the would-be sack. And to the 49 goes Kirk Thomas, the fullback, taking it out there. Gain of close to 6. Clock is running with 5.5 minutes remaining in the second quarter.
That was a good move by quarterback Alex Espinoza because he had bootleg action to his left. He ran into pressure. He stopped suddenly and then whipped the ball out to Kirk Thomas, his fullback, who was in the left flat. This could provide an emotional lift for the Cyclones if they could continue this drive and get some points on the board.
2nd and 4 from the 49. Thomas again can't get started. Slips as he begins to make his cut. Loss of 1. It'll be 3rd down and 5. Pat Peterson in on the tackle, number 50.
We talked about it earlier. This series resumed in 1977 after a 43-year break. There was some bitterness, some controversy. Teams didn't like each other very much.
3rd and 5 from the 48. Complete for a first down to Jeff Watka at the 39 of Iowa. So Espinoza clicks on a 3rd down and keeps the drive going. It's autumn, all right. Bundled up against the elements. 50-degree temperature here. 4:20 to go. First half. Here's the series record. Again, the last meeting last year. The first meeting back in the 1800s. And then that long hiatus. First down from the 39. Espinoza off a short roll. Throws to Watka again. And he picks up 11 and gets to the 28-yard line. Going out of bounds and stopping the clock with 4:02 remaining in the first half.
So Alex Espinoza, who has been erratic in the first 2 games of the season, is hot today. He's 10 of 13 passing for 99 yards, picked up 12 on that last play. And there's been good diversity in the passing game. He's mixing it well.
First down from the 27-yard line. Another completion, and very close to a first down before being run out of bounds is Ken Anderson, number 26.
Ken Anderson, a good possession receiver, runs a 5-yard hook along the left sideline. The ball hits him high, right on the numbers. The ball was delivered after a 3-step drop. It's Nate Creer, number 29, for Iowa, who forces him out of bounds.
When you think about it, Espinoza's missed only 3 passes today, and 2 of those
should have been
caught. Yeah. On 2nd and 1, Espinoza has this one picked off by Jay Norvell, and he has some blocking. He's to midfield. Norvell to the 40-yard line. Norvell starting to run out of gas, and down he goes at the 28-yard line. Dave Haight finally catches up with him. So Espinoza mounting a drive, taking them deep into Iowa territory, and then bam.
This is by far the worst pass of the day by quarterback Alex Espinoza. Again, one of the problems he's had is that occasionally he will force the ball into coverage. He's aiming for Jeff Watka, but it's number 45, Jay Norvell, the safety man, who steps in front, puts it into cruise control along the left sideline, cuts back, and he's finally dropped there by Ken Anderson, number 26, who catches him from behind. 62 yards on that return, and that might be the most important turnover of the day.
Now it's Harmon trying to knife his way through, slips a tackle, gets to the outside. Boy, he's tough to take down. and gets to the 21-yard line, run out of bounds by Anthony Mays.
Well, I mentioned earlier how some of the Iowa people are comparing him to Roger Craig, and when I see him running, there is a similarity in their running style.
Coming up at halftime, update you obviously on everything that's happening. And some big upsets in the making. And an interview with Kenneth Davis, dropped from the squad at TCU. He had been a Heisman Trophy preseason candidate anyway. This is Harmon, who is stopped by Braswell. Lee and I were flying India the other day talking about the preseason Heisman candidates and what's happened to so many of them. Davis dropped from the squad at TCU. Byers has been injured. Others have gotten off to bad individual starts or playing with teams that are off to bad starts. And really right now you're down to Robbie Bosco, Bo Jackson, and Chuck Long as the three favorites.
I think if you selected today, those would be by far the three leading candidates.
Third down 5, ball at the 24-yard line. Long with a deep drop, has a lot of protection, tries to set up the screen to Harmon, and he dropped it. Which turns out to be a blessing for Iowa anyway. He had no blocking and would have been thrown for a loss. So it's fourth down. And they'll attempt to put 3 more up on the board. Holtland has already kicked a 47-yard field goal. His longest, a 50-yarder. Last week, there's Espinoza on the right. Long on the left. This one is a 41-yard attempt. Holtland's kick is just good. Boy, is he having a charmed day or what? Slips on the opening kickoff, but his team recovers. Has a deflected kick, goes through for an extra point, and this one goes over by an inch. 27-0 Hawkeyes. With 2:48 to play in the first half. So they'll bring it back and do it again from the 35. Lee was talking about the fact that two teams didn't face each other for 43 years. Generally, in going back and studying the history of what took place, the Iowa State people basically wanted to resume the rivalry. There was some opposition, generally speaking, from Iowa, because for years through that period, the Big Ten generally looked down its nose at the Big Eight, thought of itself as the far superior conference. And as a consequence, a school like Iowa just felt they had too much to lose in resuming it. Iowa State felt as if they had nothing but to gain by resuming a rivalry and beating the school that had generally been regarded as the better of the two athletic programs. But they finally got it back underway in 1977, and it appears it's a rivalry that will continue unbounded for years. Drops the ball at the 20-yard line and then tries to recover at the 10 and does. Don Paprillo.
Recovers the kickoff at the 11-yard line.
So everything coming up wrong for Iowa State.
Paprillo loses concentration right here and just does not look the ball in at all, and then runs forward several steps. Seems to have really lost his concentration, is very disoriented, finally covers the ball up. But, you know, the old coach's cliche is mistakes will kill you. Mistakes have really hurt the Cyclones here in the first half.
Most of this crowd is going to lose its concentration pretty soon as well. 27-0. First and 10 from the 11-yard line. Espinoza throws, and that's in and out of the hands of Kirk Thomas, number 33. 2:41 remaining in the first half. Drizzling again, a light rain coming down, wind coming out of the north, which makes it a lot colder than the 52 degrees they tell us it is at the moment. A penalty against Iowa State as well. And they'll discuss the options with the defensive captain, Larry Station. No relation to Victoria.
Free steak will be waiting when you get back to Northern California.
We have holding on the offense. First down.
They take the penalty, and it's first down and 15. Ball at the 5-yard line. Pitch it to the tailback, Andrew Jackson. And our 7th president takes it up to the 4-yard line. So Jackson getting a shot. They've used Watson. They used Rogers earlier, who had his first college carry, the highly touted freshman, and now they'll try Jackson. 2nd down and 16 with the ball at the 4-yard line. Throwing back the other way and incomplete. And it will be 3rd down. Already you've got some people leaving. It's 27-0. It's become a raw and cold day. And for some, it's been enough.
59-21 and 51-10 have been the scores the last 2 years. We mentioned that earlier. Iowa totally dominating.
Ball still loose at the 2. Iowa has it. Al Watson, who's been prone to fumbling, dropping the football, and Hat Peterson, number 50, is the man who recovers.
Watson, probably the most consistent runner for the Clones, never had the handle on the ball here. He just lost it, and it's Hap Peterson at his nose tackle position, number 50, who covers it. He's probably the most successful of a very strong group of down linemen. They're basically a 3-4 team, but some multiple fronts.
They've now turned the ball over 3 consecutive times, and they lost the ball on downs earlier. So Long tries to capitalize and does. He throws a touchdown to Mike Flagg, the tight end.
I like that call. Come right with your best play action pass, first down, right after a turnover. From their power eye, play action fake to the tailback, sets up, and it's the tight end Flagg who runs an out pattern. He gets just ahead of number 28, Mylan Pitts, and he had already broken the plane of the goal line when he caught the ball, so it was a touchdown automatically.
Holtman now for the extra point attempt. Vlasic to hold. And the kick is good. 1:47 remaining in the first half. The Iowa Hawkeyes now leading by a score of 34-0. Hayden Fry's third-ranked Hawkeyes blowing Iowa State away. And let's pay a visit to the campus of the University of Iowa.
Tradition. You'll find it here at the University of Iowa. Today, students and faculty are building upon this tradition in exciting new ways. They've come from every part of Iowa, from every state, and from around the world to study in the arts, the humanities, the sciences, and the professions. They're part of the Iowa tradition, part of the excitement of Iowa.
Score of 34-0. 1 minute and 47 seconds remaining in the first half. Iowa coming in as a 3-touchdown favorite, leading by 5 touchdowns at the moment. And kicking off to Iowa State with 1 minute and 47. I think it might be a little somber in that Cyclone locker room at the half.
Somber Cyclone locker room. I like that. What price alliteration?
Loose ball again, and Iowa has it at the 19-yard line. recovers, and Iowa State is all confused on returning kicks. Thibodeau, Rogers back there.
So now this is the 4th straight turnover by Iowa State. And obviously this is very displeasing for Coach Jim Kreiner. That's Marcus Rogers, number 20, the young freshman that we talked about.
Not the right time for the tip drill either. First down Iowa at the 21-yard line. Long, throwing long, nobody is there. Elverson had been knocked down. Perhaps he was the intended receiver. Nobody in the neighborhood. Well, in the second half, we're going to get Al Troutwig to use his imagination and come up with some of the more incredible sideline features ever seen.
Okay, thank you.
So Trout put the thinking cap on. Second down and 10 from the 21-yard line. Harmon to the 18. Jeff Braswell makes the tackle. Iowa with 27 points in the quarter and a minute and a half to go in one of the longest halves in Iowa State football history. This is one to burn the film by. 34-0 Hawkeyes. On third down and 8. Long, throwing a nice out pattern at the 9-yard line to Scott Helverson, and he has a first down. And that'll mean a first and goal upcoming. Iowa led 35-0 at the half last year. So, actually, we've been kidding you, folks. This is simply the replay of last year's game. Stay tuned for the real action. Under a minute to go in the first half. Long on first and goal. Lofting it into the end zone. Wide open is Smith, and a touchdown for Robert Smith, number 2. And the only drama right now is what kind of numbers will Long wind up with today in his march to what he hopes is the Heisman Trophy?
Well, right now, with this completion, he's 16 of 24 for over 150 yards. And that ball is thrown with perfect touch and timing by Chuck Long. You know, we talked about how he can throw all types of passes. He can touch it. He can drill it. He's resourceful. He reads coverage well. And according to Hayden Fry, he's never had a calmer player than Chuck Long. He says nothing upsets him. And he's probably the greatest quarterback that Hayden Fry has ever coached. And Hayden has had some good ones.
Baldwin kicks it through. Team record is 70 points for Iowa. In 1957, they scored 70 against Utah State. They have 41 with 47 seconds remaining to be played in the first half. Hawkeyes rolling. And we have a moment to visit the campus of Iowa State University in Ames. When you think about it, if Auburn loses to Tennessee and they're down in the first half today, and if Oklahoma doesn't look particularly good against Minnesota tonight for some reason, all of a sudden the voters are going to look at what's happening here, and Iowa would have a shot at being number 1 next week. They lead 41-0. Another fumble kick. The ball is still loose, and it's all the Cyclones can do just to fall on it. Forget about running it back. Just keep possession.
I think the mental and emotional letdown that Al Troutwig was talking about along the sideline a while ago is very much at evidence here with the Cyclones. They just seem to have totally lost their concentration. 4 straight turnovers, and they nearly had a 5th. Frustrating for that man, Jim Kreiner, who has tried hard to turn the program around here at Iowa State in the last 2 or 3 years.
32-yard line, first and 10. Espinoza going deep, had a man out in front, but overthrows. Hugh Suffren, good speed, number 84.
Jim Kreiner, who we just talked about, believes very much in organization. organization and discipline, so I'm sure this is frustrating for him. He's worked under some great coaches, Dick Vermeil, Lavelle Edwards, Jim Hannafin, Pepper Rogers, Ray Wilsey. He was on the staff of Mike Giddings at the University of Utah, as was Jim Hannafin. So he knows a lot about organization and discipline, but today the team is not that.
Second down and 10 from the 32-yard line. 41-0 Hawkeyes. Keep it on the ground and nothing doing there. Kirk Thomas stops right away. You know, the first commandment for a sportscaster is do anything you can to keep the audience. Yeah, we know it's 41-0, and we know we have another half, so what we'll promise you is that we will interview during the second half Frank Sinatra and Barbara Streisand if they are in the stands today. We'll try to round them up if they're here and bring them up to the booth for you.
The color and the pageantry of
CFA
college football.
Clock running down, and the first half will end on this play with a bang and not a whimper, as Espinoza runs out of bounds, and that mercifully ends the first half. That's the good news for Iowa State. The bad news for the Cyclones is they have 30 more minutes of this. It's halftime. And the Iowa Hawkeyes lead 41-0. And we're going to go down to Al Trotwig. We'll get a word with Hayden Fry.
I couldn't find Frank Sinatra or Barbara Streisand, but I do have Hayden Fry. Coach, has anything gone wrong for your team in the first half?
Yeah, the first series of plays were just terrible.
What about after that, though? You really seem to settle down.
Well, you know, our guys are proving we needed a challenge. We got it early. That really got us fired up. Our guys are playing super football.
Are you a little disappointed in what Iowa State has shown you so far? It seems like they are completely removed from the game now. I don't know whether they're concentrating anywhere near the way a team should to come back.
No, they're not removed at all. Iowa State has a lot of pride. They'll come back and fight us the second half. The big thing is to keep our guys motivated so we don't let up.
We've marveled a lot at Chuck Long. How much more will we see him today?
Well, I can't tell you. It depends on how Iowa State plays early in the third quarter. If we keep moving the ball, I'll take him out probably by the middle of the third quarter.
Okay, glad you didn't wear your cowboy boots today. The rain would have hurt us. Thank you, Coach. 41-0. The Hawkeyes over the Cyclones. We'll be back with all our halftime activities on CFA College Football in a moment. 41-0.
Half coming up.
Tells the story of the first half. The statistics are certainly not misleading today. One thing that we look at there, we see 3 turnovers by Iowa State. They did not count the kickoff fumble as a turnover, so actually there have been 4.
And the Prudential halftime report has been brought to you by the Prudential, offering a full range of insurance and financial services. The Prudential, the rock, it's strong, it's on the move, it is bigger than life. Second half coming right up. Well, we're getting set now to start the second half at Ames, Iowa. Al Michaels, Lee Grosskopf, and Al Trotwig with you. What was a crowd of 55,000 in that neighborhood is now about 15,000. You can see how many people have left. Won't have any problem getting out of here with the traffic today. 53,202 is the official attendance. And Iowa State, you saw Thibodeau back to receive. Rob Holtman will kick off. He's already scored 34 points this season. Iowa on its way to victory number 3, and it will be 3 routes in a row. Second half is underway. Backing up, dropping the ball appropriately, I suppose, and then covering up is Marcus Rogers. It's been that kind of a day for Iowa State. Light rain still coming down, and it's very, very cold. Temperature has now dropped into the 40s. So first down for Iowa State from the 20-yard line. They're down 41-0. They've had 2 decent drives today. One ended with a missed field goal. The other ended on an interception. And the freshman, Marcus Rogers, gets the start at tailback. Espinoza, with a short little pass, taken at the 22-yard line by Hugh Suffren. Gain of a couple. And let's take a look at the defense now for the University of Iowa. Doug Burrell starts at one end, number 90. Jeff Dross, 286 pounds. Hap Peterson had a good first half, 260-pounder. John Brees, the defensive tackle, and on the other side is Joe Mott, who comes out of Endicott, New York. Second down and 6 from the 24-yard line. Espinoza dropping back to pass, firing, and again it is dropped at the 27-yard line by Hugh Suffren. The Iowa defense leading the nation. George Davis, one linebacker. There's your All-American, Larry Station. The cornerback, Ken Sims, shares the corner with Nate Creer. The two safeties are Jay Norvell, who had an interception, and Devon Mitchell, who was a talk-on, walk-on. Talked his way onto the team. Third down and 6 from the 24-yard line. Espinoza throws it out of bounds, and Iowa State will punt. Andy Gant, the intended receiver.
To amplify on your story, I was talking to Hayden Fry about Mitchell yesterday, and he said that he just came up and said, hey, the guy, I'm better than the guy you're recruiting. He says, well, you know, you might be. You look bigger, you look faster, maybe we'll give you a look. Guess what? Made the team, and then some.
He's a good one. Brian Refner to punt, back at his own 8-yard line. And it's Smith and Happel. Smith number 2, Happel number 40. Fielded at the 40 by Happel. And a 9-yard run back, and Iowa takes over at the 49-yard line. 1 minute into the third quarter. Iowa leading 41-0. Defensively for the Cyclones, Leiter, number 90. Loris. Lubers is maybe their best defensive player. Dennis Gibson, one linebacker. Another good one is Braswell, of course. We talked about him. Tim Iverson, the other outside backer. Long still in there, and he pitches to Harmon. A little quick toss, and Harmon takes it to the 45-yard line. As we look at the Iowa State defensive backs, Terrence Anthony out of East St. Louis. Marlon Pitts, recruited from Pasadena. Colin out of Kansas City, Kansas. And out of Texas comes Anthony Mays. So it's a non-Iowa secondary. Iowa State moves it around recruiting-wise. Naturally, they attempt to concentrate close to home, but they'll go to both coasts, especially for J3 transfers from California. Long has time, going deep, throws, great catch, and a touchdown. Number 87, Scott Helverson. He was covered on the play by Terrence Anthony, who looked like he was going to be able to deflect it, but Helverson got good body position, hauled it in, and Chuck Long has another touchdown pass.
Straight drop back by Chuck Long. He slides forward in his protective pocket. He's going to his wide receiver, Helverson, who is covered by Anthony there. He outreaches Anthony and then just trots in for a 46-yard touchdown reception. It's been an up-and-down year for Terrence Anthony so far. He was beaten badly 2 weeks ago, and then he turned around and he was Big 8 Defensive Player of the Week for his efforts against Vanderbilt.
Hoagland's extra point is no good. Wide to the left. And with 13:19 to play in the third quarter, Iowa stretching its advantage. They lead 47-0.
The weather conditions here in Ames have turned drastically. I have found the only seat in the house that keeps up with the Iowa Hawkeyes. They're moving the ball so well. This seat moves, and that's the only way I can always be on the line of scrimmage. Back to you, Alan Blake.
You're hot today, Werger.
Kickoff fielded at the 7-yard line. And bunched up back at the 20 is Marcus Rogers, the freshman. A lot of bags are coming out now. Kansas City and Minnesota. National telecast tomorrow. We'll have that one game for you from the Metrodome at 2 o'clock Eastern time on ABC Sunday Afternoon Baseball. Again, the Royals lost today. The Angels lost today. And with a little more than a week to go in the baseball season, in the tightest of the races, the American West, the Royals and the Angels are tied for first place. 47-0 Hawkeyes. Espinoza, the quarterback for Iowa State. Ball at the 22-yard line. And let's see that freshman. There's Rogers. And he gets out to the 42-yard line, showing a little of what the people around here have come to expect from the freshman. Man they've heard a lot about, read a lot about, very highly recruited. Jim Kreiner wants to bring him along slowly. Offensively, they're the skill people for Iowa State. And the offensive line. So chances are we're going to see quite a bit of Mr. Rogers here in the second half. Mr. Rogers. 20-yard gain, ball at the 42. Slipping and falling and creating the incompletion. Hugh Suffren, the intended receiver, slipping and falling on the turf.
You get a sense of the slippery turf here as you see Hugh Suffren, number 84, who has been plagued by a leg injury, go down on this new rug. This is only the second rug they have had in the history of the stadium. It's called All-Pro Turf.
2nd and 10 from the 42. Espinoza racked up at the 36-yard line by Jeff Dross. Big question about Iowa now becomes how good are the Hawkeyes? Let's face it, they played Drake, they played Northern Illinois, figured to blow out both, and did. Iowa State figured to give them a better battle. They haven't. They're going to blow the Cyclones right out of here. So they're going to begin Big Ten competition, and things will get pretty interesting starting next week, because they're in Iowa City to take on the Michigan State Spartans. 3rd and 15 from the 37-yard line. Espinoza going deep, and Gant started to fall down as he reached for that one. It's a continuing study in frustration and humiliation, really, for Iowa State today.
This is called twins, and it's a combination pattern, and it's Danny Gant, number 81, who lined up in the slot going on a deep post pattern, and he just falls down there. Again, it's the frustration of the Cyclones.
Ressner to catch. Short kick. Takes an Iowa bounce down by the Clones at the 46-yard line. And we have 11:47 to go in the third after a 17-yard kick. So Hawkeyes have the football at the 47-yard line. Ronnie Harmon, his numbers reflected there, both rushing and receiving. And nearly caught behind the line of scrimmage was David Hudson, but he was able to spring forward, get free, and pick up the first down, taking the football down to the 41-yard line.
First down, Iowa.
Tennessee in the third quarter leading Auburn, shockingly, 24-0. Ohio State winning by 16. Penn State a touchdown victor over Rutgers. Michigan shutting out Maryland. 1st and 10, long, back to throw. Going deep, complete, and out of bounds at the 13-yard line is Helverson, who has become his favorite receiver today. Scott Helverson out of Des Moines. Alabama was a winner today. Irish going down to the Boilermakers. Spartans take on Iowa next week. Wildcats leading by 15, and Nebraska has routed the Ducks. Drowned them, 63-0. Ronnie Harmon. Loss of 1.
Northwestern not Wildcats anymore.
Oh, sure. Denny Green has a quasi-powerhouse there, huh? Other scores for your perusal. at the half, leading Stanford. UCLA and Washington, 14-14. Almost intercepted. Flag the intended receiver. So Iowa State, long afternoon for the team, for the fans, compounded by the miserable weather as it's turned out. It began overcast and chilly, and right now it's downright cold and rainy and misty, and most of the crowd has left. The others are looking for a good book. Know any that have come out lately? Harmon looking for room, close to a first down, and out of bounds at the 2-yard line. A run out by Randy Richards.
I think we do have an author.
I haven't seen any good books come out lately. I've seen some books.
Ball spotted at the 4. 4th and 1.
Sit down, you idiot. First and goal from the 3. Harmon, 18 carries, and he's hit the century mark, 100 yards. Power I. Fake it to Harmon. Long. Throwing on the run into a lot of traffic, and for a loss for Mike Flagg, the tight end.
Flagg would have been better to drop that one intentionally.
Monday Night Football coming your way. Cincinnati taking on Pittsburgh. That's the matchup from Three Rivers Stadium at 9 o'clock Eastern Time.
No love lost there.
Nope. Under 10 minutes to go. Third period. Harmon into the end zone a couple of times. This could be the last we see of Long and Harmon. They very well be coming out of the game very shortly as a potential touchdown pass is broken up by Kevin Colin, who was riding Mike Flagg.
Pass meant for Flagg. Colin, the defender. 3rd and goal at the 10.
To the 10, 3rd down and goal.
Play fake to Harmon. Chuck Long slides back to his right. We've got a crossing pattern, a combination route. You saw a little pressure there. Coverage by Colin as Mike Flagg, the tight end, goes on a crossing pattern and tries to sneak into the end zone.
Game involving Big 18. 3rd quarter score.
Timeout is called here
29. Missouri 10.
by Iowa. Chuck Long, as we say, he probably will come out after this series or maybe after one more. Things well in hand. Other scores for you, and the one you've all been waiting for, Portland State leading Montana by 4.
Indiana State 17. Great.
Augustana defeats Wheaton.
Tennessee 24. Auburn nothing.
Pittsburgh and West Virginia
Final.
winding up in a 10-10 tie.
17.
Miami
Final. Penn State
over Boston College. Last year that was the game in which Flutie threw the miracle pass at the end.
7. Western Michigan 3. Final.
Tech over Syracuse
Washington State 10.
by 10.
Wisconsin 24.
Black Knights of the Hudson
Wyoming 10.
rout Penn.
Final. Georgia 35. South Carolina 21.
And Harvard hands it to Massachusetts.
Georgia Tech 14. Clemson 3.
Joe Rustic in a multiplex.
Washington 11.
Meanwhile, here 47-0. The Hawkeyes on top. 3rd down and goal. Ball at the 10-yard line. And Long looking into the end zone. Incomplete. Seeking Helverson again, but unable to link up.
Incomplete. Manning the defender.
And the field goal unit comes onto the field. So they'll try to make it an even 50. Look at some of those remaining. Most Most of those will be at the drugstore seeking cold remedies on Monday. Hoagland, 27-yard attempt, ball to the 17-yard line, and Hoagland's kick, he is good. 9 minutes and 37 seconds remaining to be played in the third quarter at Cyclone Stadium. And again, for the third year in a row, the Iowa Hawkeyes are routing the Iowa State Cyclones. Mentioned before, it was Iowa State that really wanted to renew this rivalry for the most part. They may want to end it after what's happened the last 3 years.
Next break might be 47 years.
So a rout of major proportions. The Hawkeyes on top by a score of 50-0. Next week on CFA College Football, national game for you. It will be Notre Dame taking on Air Force. And it will get underway at 3 o'clock Eastern Time.
Please report to the north door of the press box to receive your prize.
Cyclones send Marcus Rogers back to receive now as the middleman. Hoagland to kick off. The Cannon's getting some action today as they shoot it off on every kickoff. And it's Rogers going out to the 22. They're probably about out of ammunition right now.
22-yard line.
9.5 to go now in the third quarter. So it will be a very pleasant bus ride back to Iowa City for the Hawkeyes. 50-0. Same team that has now won 3 games in a row by huge margins. And of course, among other things, what that does is it pads those stats, those team stats. They already came in leading the country in points per game, and that doesn't figure to change. As Espinoza remains in at quarterback, gives the ball off to Kirk Thomas.
I think Espinoza will play right up till the end for the Cyclones, but I think Chuck Long could be leaving the game shortly. And one thing about Chuck Long, he's very unselfish. He's not worried about individual statistics. I talked to his coach, Hayden Fry, about that yesterday, and we'll talk more about that momentarily.
2nd and 10 from the 22-yard line. Rogers, the freshman, 23-yard line, gain of 1. Long has played less than 9 quarters this season. And in those quarters, Iowa has outscored the opposition 139-13. They beat Drake 58-0. They beat Northern Illinois 48-20. And they lead here today by a score of 50-0. Next week, at home, they take on Michigan State. And it's homecoming at Iowa City. 3rd and 9. Espinoza. Out to the 39-yard line, and it's complete. Hugh Suffren, number 84, making the catch. And that's a first down with 8:13 to play in the third.
Straight drop back by Espinoza. He looks left first. Scans the field, now comes back to Hugh Suffren, who is running a comeback route along the right sideline. He steps right in front of number 11. That's Rick Schmidt.
38-yard line, 1st and 10. No gain for Thomas. What's happening, Trout?
Al, it's the kind of day where you're wondering what they're doing at the University of Hawaii. In the meantime, I have found some of the most disciplined fans around. Hit it.
There they go.
I think you'd have to qualify it as a stupid human trick, but it's fun to watch. Up to you guys.
All right. 2nd and 9 from the 39. And Espinoza in the grasp of number 90, Doug Burrell. Dropped right there. The flag goes down as well. I like the Trout style.
Give him the Color and Pageantry Award.
You got it.
Good pressure here on Espinoza. Winds up in a sack.
And there was a marker down. Holding is the call against Iowa State.
Illegal use of hand. We go against Iowa State.
Jim Kreiner's got a job to do this week.
Illegal use of the hands on the offense. Penalty decline.
His team, after winning 2 games kind of unimpressively, and there he is, has Drake next week. That's not bad. They figure to beat Drake. But then you've got the start of the Big 8 conference schedule coming up the following week when they take on Kansas. 3rd down, 15 from the 33-yard line. Espinoza sacked again. Back at the 24-yard line. 3rd sack. Big number 98, George Millette, 6-footer, 222-pounder, senior out of Boston, Iowa. Creating a loss of 9. Bringing up the 4th down, Happel and Smith drop back for Iowa, and Brian Refner to do the punting. Refner kicking into the wind blowing straight out of the north. From the 42-yard line, it's Smith. 7-yard run back to the 49 after a 33-yard punt. 6:11 to go. 3rd quarter. Iowa 50. Iowa State a goose egg. 3rd quarter. Iowa with a football. They lead by a score of 50-0. And it's Long and Harmon still in there, at least for one more series. Let's go down to Al Trotwood.
Al, I found my first cannoneer, Dean Douglas, who's in charge of shooting off the cannoneer. Dean, when do you blast this baby off?
Well, usually blast it off during whenever on kickoffs and scores when Iowa State scores. But you know, coming up to the 4th quarter here and everything, I think we're going to blow it off. They get first downs and long plays or something like that. If they get long plays or whatever comes up like that.
All right, that's the story from the cannoneer's viewpoint, Al.
How about a 4-yard gain on a sweep? Long back to throw. Still trying to put points on the board, and there went 6. Oh, merciful goodness, 6 points went wasted as Robert Smith couldn't hold on.
Merciful goodness. Robert Smith has beaten the entire secondary on a deep post pattern. He being one of their burners, well, in fact, the fastest man on the team. And Long threw that ball about as perfectly as you could throw a post pattern. Smith will not like that. Hayden Fry will not like that because that shows a lack of discipline. Even though you've got a 50-point lead, you want to continue to execute well. That would have been a nice chance for Long to fatten up his stats. That would have been touchdown pass number 4, and it would have put him over 300 yards on the day.
3rd down and 7. Harmon dropped it. We were talking about Iowa, the possibility of becoming number 1. We discussed the Heisman hopefuls before as well. I don't know what's happening to Bo Jackson individually today, but Auburn's losing, and that can't help a guy seeking a Heisman trophy. It really does help to be on a number 1 team if that's the case, and that could very well be the case with Chuck Long.
Robbie Bosco is idle today, so probably if you just took a vote tomorrow, Chuck Long would be the leading candidate for the Heisman.
Could be. It depends from which area of the country you're going to get the votes.
Yeah.
They're going to still go Jackson's way in the South. And again, we say we don't know what kind of a day Bo is having individually, but he can't be tearing up the joint because they're down 24-0.
Keith Byers, of course, has missed 3 games with a foot injury.
Defense, 4th down.
Personal foul against each unit, the offsetting penalties. It's 4th down. Iowa with the ball at the Iowa State 48-yard line. 5 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in the 3rd period. Kostrubala, number 27, to do the punting.
Prior to this, the Hawkeyes had scored on their last 7 straight possessions.
Fair catch called for and made at the 10 by Milan Pitts. 38-yard punt. 5:21 to go, period 3. Iowa in a rout. 5 minutes and 21 seconds to play in the third period. Iowa 50, Iowa State nothing. Cyclones have it, first and 10 from the 11-yard line. Espinoza gives it to the freshman Rogers, who takes it out to the 13 for a gain of 2. Second and 8. Brown beats Rhode Island by 5. Colgate by a point over Cornell.
Pick up a 4 yards, 14, second and 6.
Lehigh beats Princeton. Lafayette over Columbia. Second down and 7 from the 14. Out to the 18-yard line. The pass to Kirk Thomas is complete. New Hampshire, whose state motto is live free or die, beats Dartmouth 23-7. How do we know that? We know that because we saw Bobby Addy on the plane the other day. Holy Cross over Delaware, 22-6. Our skiing expert, a native of New Hampshire. BU, the Terriers, defeat Maine 19-14. Third down and 3 from the 18-yard line. And Espinoza gets knocked down by Tyrone Berry.
Sack number 4 for the Hawkeyes.
Tar Heels over VMI. 51-7, North Carolina. A winner today.
7-yard line, on the 11.
So the ball is back at the 7-yard line. Refner to punt.
Apple deep for Iowa.
3:34 to go in the third period. Apple sets up at the 45-yard line to accept the punt. Again, Refner kicking into the wind. Comes now with a high snap, and it's a terrible kick off the side of his foot. It takes a sideways roll and is dead at the 27-yard line. That much time left in the third quarter after a 20-yard kick. And Long is finally out of there. Vlasic comes in. Tomorrow again, Kansas City will be taking on Minnesota. It will be the Royals against the Twins, coming your way from the Metrodome at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. So they go to the bench. And they also go to the bench as far as running backs are concerned. That's Ronnie Harmon's brother Kevin, number 28, carrying the ball.
So Long's numbers on the day as he leads the game, 19 of 32 for 223 yards and 3 touchdowns. Of course, he had a couple drops, one that would have been a short touchdown, so he could have well been over 300 yards on the day.
Mark Vlasic, he has seen a lot of action in the first 2 games because of the blowouts, which has enabled him to come in, as is the case again today. And Vlasic is going deep, throwing for a touchdown into the end zone. Albertson, and it doesn't matter who's on the throwing end. Albertson having a great day with Long at the controls, and in comes the sub Vlasic, and Albertson is still getting open.
Sprint out left by Vlasic, and he looks a lot like Chuck Long right here as he sets up. Albertson running a curl-in route, gets to the open area of the coverage, and the ball is really rifled in there. Perfect pass by Vlasic as he enters the game and engineers a touchdown drive.
56-0 in favor of the Hawkeyes. And they go to the bench, too, for the extra point as well. Marv Cook, the backup place kicker, comes in place of Holton, and he boots it through. And with 2:33 to go in the third period, holding a slight 57-0 edge over the Cyclones. Monday Night Football again will feature the two AFC teams from Pittsburgh. It'll be the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Helverson having his best day of the year. 8 receptions now for 154 yards. 2 touchdowns.
Last week, Happel was the key receiver. Great day for Helverson. Another great day for Iowa. Looking ahead now at their schedule as they open up against Big Ten opposition next week. They've got Michigan State. You can also take a look at some of the key games upcoming for them as Cook again does the kicking off. Straight ahead kicker, and it's fielded by one of the up men at the 26-yard line and run back to the 39. Iowa State will be taking over there. And you know, as long as Al Troutwig is making the rounds on the sidelines, maybe we ought to send the Trouter up to...
I thought we'd see you.
Where the hell back up there against the...
From the 40. Pass knocked down. Iowa meets Michigan State next week. Then they go to Wisconsin. There's a flag on their last play. Big game will be Michigan at Iowa City on the 19th of October. It could be a very interesting confrontation. And their meeting with Ohio State will take place in Columbus on the 2nd of November. Iowa State whistled for holding. 2:24 remaining in the third period. And the penalty is accepted.
Holding on the offense. First down.
Well, if they blow out the Spartans next week, I think they're going to have to get somebody's attention as a possible #1 ranking.
As we say, if Oklahoma doesn't look very good tonight against Minnesota, it's very possible Iowa's going to be #1 next week.
Yep.
Rogers out to the 33-yard line. Why does the clock seem to be standing still in a game like this?
Something about a blowout, isn't there?
Yes, there is. Time stands still when it's 57-0. Rogers has carried 5 times for 28 yards. That message said, "Go Cyclones." I'm not sure where they were telling them to go. Espinoza complete to the 45-yard line, and into Iowa territory goes Tom Stoniak, number 88, for a first down.
Alex Espinoza has actually had a pretty good day throwing the ball, with the exception of the 1 interception. Play action fake. He looks down the middle first and then goes wide. Shoots it out to the left sideline to Stoniak, number 88. 15 of 25 now for 150 yards on the day for Espinoza.
Well, we sent Troutwig to the upper deck, and he took us seriously. Request is granted. Rogers takes it to the 42-yard line. And a minute and a half to go in the third quarter. He's still looking for Sinatra and Streisand, I'm sure.
I think Trout's looking for an Emmy.
Well, if they give one for closed circuit telecast, he's got one.
He made it. All right, Wigger.
Second and 4 from the 42. Rogers takes it to the 39. All we're missing here is Rod Sterling. I know, he missed the tag. That's a great shot. That is terrific. Come in, crowd. Come in.
Are you happy now? I have literally searched the entire stadium for a story. I have run out of room. There are no more. Back to you.
Run out of breath, too. Oh, that's great. Rogers taking the first down to the 37-yard line.
What about the short wave there?
So the third quarter is winding down. Another first down. The ball is at the 37-yard line.
I think it's going to be you.
My name is Johnny Orr.
Okay.
And a first down for the Cyclones at the Iowa 37. Hawkeyes on top by a score of 57-0.
How about this diminishing crowd?
I have seen stadiums clear out, but this is the all-time classic. And you can't blame them. Weather is rotten. The game for their team has been rotten. And the third quarter comes to a merciful conclusion. 15 minutes to go. Iowa 57, Iowa State nothing. Starting the fourth quarter. Iowa 57, Iowa State nothing, and Iowa State has the football at the Iowa 37-yard line, 1st and 10. With Espinoza still in at quarterback, throwing complete to the 30-yard line. All right, let's resume our series, Travels with Troutwig from Section Q.
Al, if only I got mileage for all this. You know, the cold's affecting some people in strange ways. Exactly how are you guys in Section P keeping warm?
Oh, we're drinking a lot and partying hardy out here.
What are you still doing here?
We're just waiting for the basketball season to start.
Okay, there you go. Back to you, Al.
Thank you, Al. Here's the tip-off. As Espinoza hands the ball to Andrew Jackson. No gain.
Those are premier miles as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. Third down and 4. 31-yard line. In New York. Okay, Poon.
All right, Jim Lampley in New York, and for those of you who may have joined us late, let's recap some earlier final scores. 6th-ranked Penn State struggled but beat Rutgers 17-10. 9th-ranked Michigan, playing a top 20 team for the 3rd straight time, beat Maryland 20-0. The Wolves have not allowed a touchdown all year. Al Michaels.
James, and here 57-0, Iowa on top, but it's 4th down and 4, and Iowa State obviously going for it and not getting it. Tom Stoniak, tight end, dropped it. So Iowa takes over on downs, 13:44 remaining in the game.
But how statistics can be misleading. If you looked at these, you wouldn't think that it was necessarily a blowout, particularly if you looked at the bottom line. Iowa State has kept the football longer than the Hawkeyes.
Vlasic gets sacked. Back at the 24-yard line.
Well, you know, at times they have moved the ball effectively. Kreiner said we got to move the sticks. We got to keep the ball away from them. But they haven't put any points on the board. And turnovers, of course, have killed them. The old coach's cliche is that mistakes will kill you. George Allen used to say, you turn over the ball 3 times, I will beat you every time.
What a terrible afternoon for that staff. And that man, Jim Kreiner, just a nightmarish day all the way around. 2nd down and 16. Draw play. And that's the younger Harmon. And he gets buried at the 32-yard line. Lester Williams, number 45, applied the crunch.
Kevin Harmon, Ronnie Harmon, Derek Harmon. All the running Harmon.
Old number 98. Tom Harmon.
Son Mark Harmon. Old UCLA quarterback.
The elder Harmons made their mark in college football. And the three set of Harmon brothers of the 80s making their mark as well.
Looks like Espinosa's going to have a new center when he comes in the game next time.
Todd Oxley with the snap. Again, Cleveland over California. And Minnesota beats Kansas City in baseball. So the Royals and the Angels are still tied for first place in the West. Nice catch made at the 47-yard line to Quinn Early, number 1.
The twin set again, and it's Quinn Early, the wide receiver, number 1, running a sideline or square out pattern. Vlasic throws the ball a little high, but it's very catchable. He goes up for it. He's conscious of his feet along the left sideline, and you've got another completion. So, like you said, it doesn't seem to matter who's at the quarterback position. The Hawkeyes continually move the football.
Holding call will bring it back. There's a look at the up-to-date standings of the American League West. Now, Horace, you have just recently started following baseball. Who do you like in that race?
Holding on the offense. First down.
I think I need to follow it a little more before I make a prediction. Who do you like?
Well, Horace, I think Kansas City is going to win it by virtue of the fact they have that series at home next week against the Eagles.
Okay.
But the more you know, the less you know sometimes.
Kind of like weather forecasters.
Absolutely. Vlasic going deep, and it's caught, and down to the 20-yard line is Jamaro, number 47. Terrence Anthony saved the touchdown, but more passing yardage for the Hawks.
Nice deep post pattern by Jim Morrow, number 47. And Vlasic throws a perfect pass. Actually, it's a little bit behind him. If he made him stretch about a yard or two more, might have turned into a touchdown as he gets a step on Terrence Anthony, number 35, and nearly takes it in.
Beauty shot from our director, Terry Jastro, at the 20-yard line. Vlasic is now 3 out of 3. And straight ahead goes Grant Goodman, number 22. His first carry. That much time left in this one, which disintegrated in the first half, disintegrated in the second quarter. Hawkeyes led 7-0 after the first 15, and then by the time it was halftime, it was 34-0. Second and 8 from the 18. Lofting it incomplete.
I think there's a bit of miscommunication on that play because Vlasic threw it and there was nobody within about 15 or 20 yards. I think he wanted to get somebody to the post and they went to the corner instead. Still doing some broken fan running up there?
I would think so.
Fumble.
Fumble.
Got it.
Cyclones have it. Rick Bayless fumbled his first carry of the day. And Iowa State finally has something good happen. 59, Randy Richards makes the fumble recovery.
There goes the Cannoneer. That's the first turnover of the day for the Hawkeyes. Here's the fumble. And there's the recovery by number 59, Randy Richards, for the Cyclones. Now they can start shooting off that gun.
What a story this will be. Down 57-0, 11:01 remaining in the game. Grantland Rice would say, in a comeback of unbelievable proportions. It started with a timeout called by Espinoza.
I don't think even the Four Horsemen can save this game.
11:01 to go. We'll be back. We threaten. Iowa State with the football, and they have it at the 23-yard line, and Espinoza goes back to pass here in the fourth period. And as it's knocked down at the line of scrimmage, and let's check in with James Lampley.
All right, Al, more scores for those of us who, or those of you who may have joined us a little bit late. Pittsburgh tied West Virginia in a sloppy game. 20 penalties in the ball game, 5 turnovers. West Virginia scored with 4 minutes to go and elected to kick for the tie rather than to go for 2 than to try go ahead and to try and go ahead. Miami got to its hotel in Providence with only 5 or 6 hours of sleep and came back to beat Boston College 45-10. Back to Al Michaels.
All right, and here it is. Espinoza going back and throwing, and another pass is dropped by Paprillo, number 32.
You know, a factor now, Al, is that it's getting dark, and there are no lights in this stadium.
Reminds me of Beaver Stadium in State College, Pennsylvania. Same sort of situation, home of Penn State.
It's a good reminder. We covered some games there.
Yeah, that start late, especially in the late autumn. Some folks having a lot of fun up on the knoll. 3rd and 10 at the 22. That's incomplete. 4th down. All right, what's happening, Trout?
Well, Al, I figure we're about as far away from a beach as we can possibly get. I've become pretty powerful here on the sideline, so I'm going to cue the band. We're going to take you to the beach.
1, 2, ready,
Nelson Riddle, you ain't, but that was lovely. Iowa State punting, and it's down to the 30-yard line. 48-yard kick. Still 10:35 to go. 57-0. Hawkeyes. Listen, 35 seconds remaining in the game. Iowa leading by a score of 57-0. Ball at the 31-yard line. 1st and 10. Chuck Long is long gone after a big day. Vlasic giving the ball, and it's fumbled and recovered by Iowa State at the 39-yard line. It was Kevin Harmon who gives up the ball, and Iowa State recovers the fumble, and we'll see if they can move in from here. Taking over in Iowa territory. Again, a reminder that on Monday at 9 Eastern time, Cincinnati will be taking on Pittsburgh from Three Rivers Stadium. Bengals trying to get on track against the Steelers.
You know that one will be a dogfight.
Couple of teams, as you say, that don't like each other very much, as the saying goes. From the 39, Espinoza. Incomplete. 2nd and 10, and let's check in again with the Trout.
Al, I've been told by many of the people in the stands that the real key to keeping warm on a day like this is body warmth. That's the most important thing. That's what I'm looking into today. Thank you. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. Back to you.
Way to hang in there, Wick.
Would you like to come up and do the play-by-play, and I'll work the sidelines? Okay, ready? 2nd and 10. Rogers. line.
Our Hoss is running wild down there today.
Bradwick has been everywhere. Well, the Iowa Hawkeyes looking so good today. Their goal, naturally, the Rose Bowl. Last year, they went to the Freedom Bowl. The year before that, they went to the Gator Bowl. Rogers punched up to the 35-yard line.
That's called Welcome to Division 1A.
Anderson made the stop for Iowa.
Tough defense to run against. And a whale of a defense this year, obviously, for the Hawkeyes as they lead the country in total defense. Coming into the game, it held the opposition to negative yardage in rushing. Tough to worm your way through.
Frank will try a 51-yard,
52-yard field goal attempt coming up for last week's hero, Rick Frank. Ball to be spotted at the 42-yard line, and a 52-yard attempt with a wind at his back is good. And finally, there's something to cheer about at Cyclone Stadium. 52-yard field goal by Rick Frank. And so the Hawkeyes now lead by a score of 57-3. By a score of 57-3, the crowd today originally numbered 53,000, but just a couple of thousand Penguins left under the circumstances. Brutally cold. The Cyclones are down by 54, and it's reflected in the face of that man, Jim Kreiner.
And we just saw Hayden Fry pacing along the sidelines. He has his walking shoes on today. Yesterday, he was out here with some Python boots on. Of course, one of his assistants when he was at SMU was Bum Phillips. Is that he and Bum used to have boot contests.
Frank with a little squib kick, but it's caught at the 30-yard line. Elverson, who is used to making the catch, since he's had a great day on the receiving end today, is the man who caught it at the 31-yard line, and Iowa will start from there with 9 minutes and 21 seconds remaining. Not many penalties today. The Zebras haven't had much to do. They've been inconsequential in the sense that this one turned out to be a rout very early on. And it's moving right now at a snail's pace. Deep and caught at the 23-yard line by Morrow. His second catch, and he was covered. Good backup receiver.
He did it from the left side earlier. This time he runs in the same route from the right side. It's the corner post pattern where he fakes to the outside, cuts back in. He gets ahead of Milan Pitts, number 28. The ball slows him down a step, but it's still there and very catchable. He looks it in. Good concentration. And that combination has been very effective. You hardly know that Chuck Long is out of the ball game the way Vlasic is throwing the ball today.
24-yard line. And straight ahead goes Grant Goodman. It's funny, even though they have this huge lead, a lot of teams would sit on it, but Iowa's been running a basic offense, trying to vary it, using men going up the middle. Also, the fly pattern has been in effect here, even in the second half with this huge lead. From time to time, they go long. Those of you who just tuned in, you missed the ball game.
Classic numbers reflected there show that he has been very effective. 4 of 5 for 127 yards and 45 yards on the last game.
On 2nd and 6, that's Bayless, who fumbled the last time, pushed back to the 23-yard line.
So Bayless is the 4th tailback that has been used by the Hawkeyes.
Ball at the 22. It'll be 3rd and 8 with under 8 minutes to play.
3rd and 8.
That's a beautifully thrown pass by Lassick. Sprint out to his left, and Morrow on the sideline took it in perfect stride.
Mets won today, beat Pittsburgh by a score of 3-1. And a final score that helps New York because Montreal beat St. Louis in the first game of a doubleheader, 2-0. So the Cardinals go down in the first game, and thus up to the minute right now, it's St. Louis leading the Mets by 3.5. On 4th and 1, Vlasic keeps and has the first down.
Vlasic kept on the option play to the 12.
Looked like a whirlybird quarterback on that one.
Cute little move, and that's a good call on 4th down. Of course, the option play is something that we have followed for many years, various forms of it. Look how he moves the feet. That's what you're talking about. He gave it kind of a little whirlybird move there. He faked to the trailing back and then moved forward for the first down. Of course, all of this started with Ron Perot at the University of Missouri back in 1941 with the split T option, which was a derivation of a basketball play, the give and go.
Get a look there at Chuck Long, whose day is done, but Iowa's not done as they have the ball inside the 10-yard line as Rick Kalitz, number 13, takes it to the 7. Yep, another good day for you, Charles. 19 out of 32.
5-yard gain.
223 yards.
And that body right there is insured for $1 million.
Yep.
24 hours a day. He says, I've got 24-hour coverage. Even if he has wildcat dreams, you know, I mean, he's all right.
Second and 5. Vlasic launching it and incomplete, intended for Morrow. Very close to interference that time on Milan's pitch, but no flag. So, twilight, nightfall beginning to creep in here.
I thought we'd been in the twilight zone for some time.
About an hour and a half. 6:28 to play in the game. Hawkeyes on top by a score of 57-3. From the 7-yard line, pitch back to Bayless. He stopped at the 6.
Well, we're seeing more option football, something that obviously Vlasic seems to prefer on short yardage situation. We talked about the origins of that with Ron Perot. 1968, of course, Emery Ballard introduced the concept of the wishbone when he was an assistant to Darrell Royal at the University of Texas.
And Emery actually got the concept from an old high school coach in Texas. Vlasic throwing, and Morrow has that one go through his hands. That close to a touchdown with 5:46 remaining in the game. So they turn it over on down. That much time remaining.
Cyclones take over, first and 10 after 7.
At Cyclone Stadium in Ames, Iowa. Hawkeyes leading by a score of 57-3.
The fourth quarter. This is the final. Washington 21, UCLA 14. In the fourth quarter, Indiana 26, Missouri.
Next week, that's the confrontation for you, the Irish and the Falcons. Notre Dame and Air Force. New quarterback, Derek DiGennaro, taking over for Espinoza, and he gives it to Rogers. Takes the ball out to the 11-yard line.
Rogers, the ball carrier.
DiGennaro is 6'3", 191, a sophomore, and he is very similar in style to Espinoza. The way he runs the team, sprints out, and the way he throws the football. His motion is similar. Espinoza leads the game 16 of 32 passing for 157 on the day. No touchdowns.
Second and 5, another fumble, but DiGennaro covers it up. So it'll be third down.
DiGennaro recovers the fumble. Ball still at the 12, third and 5.
course, has worked hard to try to turn the program around. He's introduced the strength program on a year-round basis, done some successful recruiting. Obviously, the program still has a ways to go.
3rd and 5 from the 12-yard line. And Rogers drops it. That's become such a common sight today. Balls that are delivered into the hands of receivers. In fact, it's been happening to Iowa State through its first 3 games of the year. They were fortunate to win 2. The defense did a good job against Utah State, in particular 10-3. Last week they got some breaks to beat Vanderbilt 20-17, but it's all come unraveled today.
Well, I think in all the years that I've been covering college football, I've never seen a stadium empty as dramatically as this one has in the last hour and a half.
Looks like practice. Nick fielded at the 45 and a 10-yard run back by Happel. So another Iowa possession coming up. We have a flag down on the last play. 4:21 to play in the game.
64. He's got a foul.
Iowa leading by a score of 57-3. Iowa State still has the ball at the 27-yard line because there was a personal foul penalty during the punt, which enables them to keep possession as Don Paprillo takes the ball back to the line of scrimmage. 2nd and 10. 57-3. The Cyclones avoiding a skunking with a field goal here in the 4th period. Hawkeye sealed this one early.
2nd and 10.
Second and 10. Marcus Rogers for a gain of 8 out to the 35-yard line. All right, let's get the climactic report from the Trouter.
Al, probably the wrong label. I'm as close to the scoreboard as I can. I figure this way I'll be the first one to know when that clock winds down. Back to you.
Can you get to the timekeeper? I've got a 50 here. 3rd and 2. Another fumble. Bad Iowa State recovery.
The pitch out was behind the tailback.
Ball down back to the 29. Brings up 4.
And they'll have to punt again.
And 8.
Apple again back to receive.
Apple is deep.
So for another year, the boosters and backers of Iowa can crow about their victory over Iowa State.
Cyhawk Trophy.
Apple, 25-yard line. Takes it out to the 33. 2:22 remaining, 46-yard kick. Here's our Chevrolet play of the game, and
This was in the second quarter, and Espinoza was aiming for his tight end, Wodka, number 87, and it was Jay Norval, number 45, who stepped in front, made this key interception, and this set up the touchdown to me, Al, that really put the game out of reach. After that, you knew the ball game was going to turn into a blowout. 62 yards on the return. So that is our Chevrolet play of the game.
And $1,000 to East School Scholarship Fund, donated by the good people at Chevrolet. Harmon was the ball carrier on the last play. Injured Hawkeye under the interior lineman Mike Bennett out of Warren, Michigan. Tennessee in the 4th period, leading Auburn 38-20 on their way to a big upset. Ohio State defeating Washington State. Nittany Lions a winner for Paterno. Told you about Michigan before, 20-0 as they keep rolling along. Alabama a winner. Purdue a victor. Michigan State, Nip and Tuck affair. And the Badgers did it to the Cowboys with Northwestern a winner again. Heady stuff for Denny Green. Nebraska routing Oregon. Indiana a winner over Missouri. Boy, Missouri's gotten beat by Northwestern and Indiana this year. Can't be too happy in Columbia these days.
How about them Saluki?
Yeah.
Number 69.
How about them Salukis?
The Iowa player injured.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. The Cardinal.
Look at that. Stanford is taking the lead, and Washington has defeated UCLA by a score of 21-14, coming from behind to do that.
So the Huskies have come back.
Yep. Second down, 8. Ball at the 35-yard line. Third Iowa quarterback of the day is Chuck Hartlieb. And there's a penalty marker thrown. Is picking up the first down was Harmon. But we'll see about the call, and it appears to be a face mask infraction from the initial indication. Against Iowa State.
We saw Washington get blown out by BYU 2 weeks ago, but you know, you don't figure a Don James team is going to stay down for very long.
Nope. On the defense, first down.
Face masking penalty is Iowa.
Now you've got Jay Hess in there at quarterback, as Aiden Fry has cleared the bench, giving as many of the kids as he possibly can a chance to play in this interstate rivalry. Well, that's what you'd call a very slow developing play. That never got started.
I've heard of slow developing screens. That was just a slow developing pitch out.
Kevin Harmon thrown for a loss as we run some other scores there by you.
The Harmon brothers have accounted for 123 yards a day. Ronnie Harmon 103 yards. Kevin now 20 yards since he's been in the game.
Second and 18. Clock down to about a minute to play. On the draw play. Number 13, Rick Bayless. Well, for our guys up in the booth again, the incredible George Hill, known to his pals as Gorilla, and Kelly J. Hayes,
providing us with some Bill Friel mascots today.
Yes, he did. Out wide, Kelly Hayes providing the spotting. As this one winds down. Hess keeps it, and this one is finally over. As the 8 or 9 people who remain count down the remaining seconds at Cyclone Stadium in Ames, Iowa, where the Hawkeyes come in and just blow the Cyclones out of here. 57-3, a rout for the 3rd year in a row for the Hawkeyes, and the only mystery remaining is whether or not Iowa will be #1 next week. Possible. Big win for the Hawkeyes as they beat the Cyclones by 54. We'll be back.
Route today, Coach Hayden Fry, for your Iowa Hawkeyes. This really, though, is not the kind of game that you want for your team getting ready to tackle the rest of the teams in your conference, is it?
Well, it's kind of scary. We really thought we'd have a lot better test today, and you know, Iowa State really fought hard. We had on the wrong shoes to begin with. That's the reason we were slipping and sliding.
I said it looked like a shoe store having a sale right near the first couple of plays of the game.
Well, we learned which shoes to wear. You know, we're real proud of our youngsters. They're playing real hard, and I hope Iowa State can go on and have a real good season. They do a lot of things well, but our guys are ready, and certainly we should become better and better.
Did you learn anything from a game like this?
Well, yeah, some of the blitzes that got to us, I think we're going to have to work real hard on those, so other people, we don't have an opportunity to get Chuck Long and Ronnie Harmon hurt.
How much of this result do you feel is an effort on the part of your team as opposed to a letdown on the part of Iowa State?
Well, I don't think it was a letdown on Iowa State part. They play with a lot of emotion. We just have a better ball club, and you know, we had them outmanned, and you know, what else can I say? Our guys executed and put points on the board, turnovers. You know, we didn't do very well from a statistical standpoint. From a defense, they moved the ball on us.
Okay, Coach, warm up. Congratulations. You look pretty powerful today.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Al Michaels, finally, up to you.
All right, Trout, great job down there, by the way. 57-3 is the final. Some good questions from Al to Hayden Fry, and I'm sure Hayden has to be thinking some of the same things we are right now. Just how good is Iowa? We really don't know. They haven't met formidable opposition, obviously. I suppose we'll begin to find out next week, and things are going to get pretty interesting as far as Iowa and a possible national championship are concerned.
I think next week will be a good test for them when they take on the Michigan State Spartans, because Michigan State is an improved team. I think one of the things we saw today is that Hayden Fry can put together the kind of a game plan that he really wants to do. He told me yesterday that ideally he would have the perfect balance between his running and his passing game, and he would continue to dominate with a strong defense. So in a way, it was pretty much of a textbook game plan for a coach that has done it with some consistency.
Well, we covered Bosco a couple of weeks ago, as you mentioned, in the BYU-Washington game, and now you've seen Long. How would you compare the two?
You know, son, it's a good question, and I think that maybe after looking at Long today, that maybe he's got a little edge over Robbie Bosco in some areas of his game, particularly executing the play-action passes and throwing the deep pass. Robbie Bosco may be a little bit better on the straight drop back and throwing the short passes, particularly to his back. So I think it's going to be neck and neck for those two quarterbacks if it gets down to a quarterback for the Heisman Trophy.
Quickly, if you were an NFL director of player personnel and could pick between the two, which one would you go for?
Just after today, Chuck Long.
Look there at some of the final numbers, and I don't know that it's necessarily indicative of the route. Obviously, it's in Iowa's favor in every department that means anything, and certainly in the final score, which turned out to be Iowa 57 and Iowa State 3. This ABC Sports exclusive has been brought to you by Stroh's and